my algorithm. I don't know why they do that. So I have to give it a second. Right, it should be up now. How's everybody doing today? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Please double tap that screen. Let's get this thing moving. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, I hate when it does that. No, I am not in Colorado. It's just a number. I am not in Colorado. It's just a number. Hey, YouTubers, welcome in. Good evening, good evening. Oh, hi, Colorado. Yeah, it is. I do love Colorado. Ugh. Really, the only reason it's Colorado is because do I have a different hat? That's all good. I need to be sitting back more. I don't have another hat. It's all good. It's because I didn't set it up. That's really it. I didn't set it up. So, hey, my day's well. My day's going well. You know. Do not wear a Jägermeister shirt. Why not? First of all, I can't stand Jaeger. I truly can't stand Jaeger. But this shirt was free. So someone just, yeah. Someone tossed me a tank top, and I don't turn down free tank tops. Sorry. Just don't do it. I can't drink Jaeger. I had a bad experience in college. Okay. Like a really bad one. Hey, welcome in everybody again. As you guys are coming in, please, if you guys are on the YouTube side, hit that like button. I really appreciate you guys. If you guys are on the TikTok side, double tap that screen. Let's keep this thing moving. Keep this thing going so that we can get some conversation, some debate, and some banter going on. And of course, we will have all of those. We have all of those every single night. If you guys would like to support on TikTok, think about helping me catch up to Ari on my subscribers here. That's a great way to help support. For less than a cup of coffee a day, you can support a leftist creator near you. That's a cup of coffee a day. That's a cup of coffee a month. So you can support a creator like you, like me. So yeah, think about helping me do that. It'd be really, really cool. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to catch up to her. Yeah, not a cup of coffee a day. Yeah, I would play I used to have the music like keyed up for that, but then YouTube yelled at me for in the arms of an angel. I can't hit those notes. I'm gonna make a video like that one day. It's gonna be me in like one of those videos. I'll do the turn. Like that. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you could support a leftist creator like this one. Oh. All right, y'all. We're getting this thing moving. Tenora, great question. It's excellent if you can get on it. It's excellent if you can get on it. That's the problem. They are much more stringent. Yes, hello everyone. Hello, welcome in. Come on in. Come on in. You just started live? I have been on live for 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Yeah, so we're just starting. We haven't even taken our first phone call yet. Come on in, everybody. Pretty soon we're going to open up these phone lines, have some conversation, have some debate, have some banter. Really appreciate y'all being here tonight. Corey, yes, I do. See, here's someone on YouTube talking to me right now. Yeah, I do, Corey. Yours in the wrong place. All right, well, come on in. Everybody, come on in, come on in, come on in. Water's fine. Nice to see everybody. We're going to get this thing started. We're going to open up these phone lines soon, have some conversation, have some banter, have some debate, have all the fun stuff. All the fun stuff, which is what we do on this page, because we don't sit here and live in our own little echo chambers. Here we have conversations with people who do not believe the same thing you believe. That is what we do here, and soon we'll be having those conversations. Which is exciting. It's fun. Are you excited? I'm excited. Sorry, I'm like looking everywhere. I'm like, I have 3 screens up here and it's just all sorts of analytics and everything going on. So sorry if I don't feel. Hi, welcome in. All right, y'all. Like I said, if you guys are on the TikTok side, let's get this thing up to 20,000 likes. I really appreciate you guys. If you're on the YouTube side, if you guys can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. 218 folks. Oh yeah, we're just moving on up. We'll be over 1,000 soon. Don't worry about it. It just takes a little time. That's all it is. All right, time to get the headset on at least. Ugh. You see me every time. This guy sees me every time he doom scrolls, which means, you know what? The algorithm knows you love me. That's what it is. Yep, exactly, Mr. Anonymous. Now you've commented. Now you're going to see me every day. You're going to see me on days I'm not even on live. You're going to be dreaming about me now. You might as well become a paid member because you're here for the like forever now. You're never going to get rid of me now. You might as well just join the team. Hi, Olivia, new subscriber. Good to have you here. Yeah, you might as well. We're best friends now. Okay? We're best friends now. You can never leave me. You can never leave me now. Congratulations. Guys, I'd like to introduce my new best friend, Mr. Anonymous. All right, y'all. Let's open up these phone lines. Let's get some conversation. If you're over the age of 18 and you support Trump, please feel free to call in. And so we can have conversations. Owie. Evil. Ha 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 ha. I don't care. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how old are you?
I'm 27.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
I support him because I like his business ethics. I like the way, he puts American-made products first. I like the fact that he brokered a deal between the Congo to allow those places of war, I guess, to hopefully be peaceful and abide by that peace treaty.
Okay, I believe it was a ceasefire. I'm pretty sure. Not a peace treaty. Two very, very different things. Second of all, how exactly is Donald Trump prioritizing American products? Because currently what he is saying is that he's putting on tariffs, but every time he puts on tariffs, he takes them off. And he says the reason why he takes them off is because he's trying to find trade deals. Now, because he's trying to make a trade deal, that means that he is not trying to prioritize American products. He's trying to make better deals for foreign products. That's the entire point of making a trade deal. He's saying that we have these trade imbalances. So specifically when he's saying, I'm taking off these tariffs or I'm extending these tariff deadlines like he did recently, right, where he extended them to August 1st. He's doing that in order to create a better trade deal to get foreign products more easily.
Okay, so can we agree that tariffs don't actually help both countries at all? Like, tariffs to begin with are one-sided. You know, either we as the United States benefit from them, or we'll say China, for example. Either one of us can benefit, but not both when you're tariffing. So the idea of a tariff, in my head, you know, goes back to kind of putting leverage against another country. So hiring the tariffs would essentially be a tool to completely erase tariffs, because I don't see, you know, I don't see China agreeing to pay a higher tariff than we do, and I don't think it's wise for us to pay a higher tariff than they do. So essentially, the only good thing that could happen is to do away with all tariffs.
Yeah. So who pays a tariff?
So the consumer is essentially who pays the tariff. So
Eventually, but you're right. Eventually, the consumer pays a tariff. But who actually pays the actual tax to the actual government?
The American business.
Right, the importer. So why do you think China really cares about if we put tariffs on their products?
Because when you put tariffs on a product and our businesses can't get a hold of that product without paying a higher price, then it puts pressure on them to not necessarily buy those Chinese products or to outsource our business over there.
Where else are they going to buy them
from? I would say the alternative is to have American businesses and to have an industrial revolution again, and where we become a bigger, better country.
But now, see, that industrial revolution wouldn't even be able to start for between like 7 and 10 years from now. Okay, if you put 200% tariffs on every single country, on every single importer, we wouldn't see an industrial revolution for 7 to 10 years just to start it, right? That's how long it would just take. Hold on. That's how long it would just take to build the factories and retool the factories that we need in order to compensate for all of that stuff, right? So what about now? Who's like, why does China care now? Because right now they're still going to sell all of those products at the exact same price, and we're still going to buy them because we don't create those products at the mass level that we need to. And so therefore the consumer still needs those products. So therefore they're still selling all their products. We're just paying more.
I would say that they care because they know, like, kind of like you said, 7 to 10 years down the road, they know that we're going to start not needing their product as much, and they know, they can see the where the road leads, and I think that when we're talking about American-made goods, yeah, it might take 5 to 7 years, but if we don't start now, when do we start? Do we start 20 years from now, and then it's 27 years by the time we actually become a profitable country again?
Well, first of all, let's start with the fact that they're not doing that. They're not bending to any tariffs, and they're just selling to other countries that are now tariffing us right now. Just like China met with Japan and South Korea almost immediately after Donald Trump first implemented the tariffs to start trading more open trade deals with those two countries, which I'm assuming they're going to revisit now that the United States has now put 25% tariffs back on Japan and South Korea, because instead of just trading with us, they're just going to start trading with other countries who can do it more openly. Second of all, the answer is we don't. We don't need an industrial revolution. We're never going to be an industrial nation again. That's never going to happen. We gave that up 50 years ago, and we're not going back, okay? People don't dream in this country about going to work at a factory anymore. That is not the American dream. That was the American dream 60 years ago, right? When people wanted to, like, oh, if I go to work and I work at a factory every day, and I can provide for my family, I can do this, I can do that, right? And I can buy a house, and I can support my family, all sorts of stuff. That dream is gone, just like super far gone. People in this country are still on that dream that they go to college, they make a lot of money doing whatever, blah blah blah, and then they are able to succeed and they're going to move forward in life. Okay, nobody's dreaming of working in those factories, so they're not going to build those factories here, because no matter how much you tariff them, not having people to work them is still going to be a problem. Not to mention the fact that the prices would be extraordinarily higher just to have them built here due to labor costs.
So what would be the, if that's not the American dream anymore, and we're not going to, be an industrial country anymore and make our own products and stuff, when you're outsourcing all that money and, essentially, if you think about it like $100 bill, if you're each month taking $1 out of that, economy and throwing it into another economy, how long, our country's going broke, how do we fix that?
Well, we're not taking dollars out of our economy and giving it to another country. You're confusing a trade deficit with an economic deficit, and those two are completely different things. Yes, we buy a lot more products but that's because of our money goes into a lot of different things that aren't manufacturing. We're the largest tech giant on the face of the planet, right? So a lot of our money goes into building new tech and being the leader in the world in technology and stuff like that. We have specific industries that we're very good at, or at least we try to be very good at, such as the auto industry, right? Just because we're not buying trinkets and we're not just because we're buying trinkets or $5 t-shirts at H&M from other countries doesn't mean that we're sending money to other countries. What we're doing is we're outsourcing the shit that we don't really make here, right? The cheap goods, the mass-produced factory goods. We're outsourcing all of that and using our money for specific industries in the United States that we very, very much succeed at. And I don't think we have any will to bring back those factories, again, because of the reasons I said prior.
So you think that technology-wise, I know that we have, Tesla, we have a lot of AI stuff now, and you don't think that these other countries are going to eventually surpass us, just like they did with the chip technology in all the automobiles. Taiwan's had that for so many years now, and we can even compete on the chip market with them. So how do you see us staying ahead of the game when they've clearly been ahead of us?
Yeah, the exact same way that the exact opposite of what Donald Trump is doing right now, right? Currently, especially when we have conservatives in office, right, like Donald Trump or quasi-conservatives, we'll call it, right? They take away all of those new advancements, right? Those things that we're trying to advance in there, trying to move forward on. I'll give you an example, right? When we're talking about electric cars right now, there's like companies in China and stuff that are building electric cars for a third of the price that they are in the United States, right? That is the future. We need to move forward in that technology, but Donald Trump is rolling back all of the funding for those electric cars. I'll give it another example, clean energy, right? We had a whole bunch of tax credits that were going to clean energy across the world under the Inflation Reduction Act, all of which Donald Trump is trying to roll back in order to give, tax breaks and stuff and bigger incomes to the fossil fuel industry, right? So
now,
with the
to
things
that point, though,
hold on. All of the things that we need to do to keep up with the rest of the world, Donald Trump is now stopping us from catching up to, and again, trying to bring back t-shirt manufacturing when that's not what we need. Go ahead.
So to the clean energy point, I wanted to ask, most clean energy will never produce enough energy to pay for itself. So how do we, solve that issue? Like a windmill, for example, will never produce enough electricity to pay for itself. That's why they sit in fields up here in Indiana. They rot away because eventually the company just can't keep up with maintenance. They let them just fall down. What do we do when we don't have a solution to the economic part of clean energy?
Well, first of all, that's not true. Okay, almost every single type of sustainable clean energy source that we have right now pays for itself by a long shot. And never is a very, very, very large word that you said there, right? Never is just a crazy thought. Hell, they just pulled out a turbine out of Scotland just this week, which was actually super impressive because it works off of ocean currents, right? And it's been down there for 6 years and never moved, never touched, didn't even have to come up for maintenance. And it was providing enough energy yearly to provide electricity for over 7,000 homes off of one turbine, right? And they didn't even pull it up for maintenance. They pulled it up just to see if it needed maintenance. And it didn't even need maintenance, right? And they were like, oh, well, these seals were supposed to last 6 years. It's been 6.5 years. Let's pull it up and see if the salt water corroded them. And they still hadn't, right? So saying that these clean energy types aren't paying for themselves is ridiculous, right? But regardless, sooner or later, the more we put money into clean energy, the better the technology is going to be, right? We're going to continue to get it better and better and better and better. So now we have two choices. Either we're going to be the ones that come up with this energy technology, and we're the ones that are going to be the leading edge of this energy technology, or China is going to be, right? So Donald Trump didn't have to cut the clean energy tax credits in order to give tax cuts to his oil buddies, right? He could have kept both, but he specifically chose to put us backwards.
Okay, I mean that's a good point. Another reason why I would say I support his movement is the immigration policies that he stands for. I'm not current with what's going on the southern border, other than we need to stop the bleeding. We need to keep our border secure. We're the only country in the world that doesn't have. Well, I mean, not saying the only, but one of the only countries that does not protect their borders. You have places like Norway and all these other countries that you would get shot for crossing their borders. You try to sneak into China, you try to sneak into Afghanistan, any of these countries, they are very protective over their borders, and I think that's a good thing. You never know who's coming across those borders. You don't know what their intentions are. You don't know if they came from a military background and have the ability to spy on our country. I just think that our borders need to be more secure. There does need to be good ways into our country. I have a.
All right. Well, let's stop there before you move on to the next part. First of all, you will not get shot trying to get into Norway. That is a ridiculous statement. Okay. Let's start there. Second of all, okay, there are multiple countries that actually truly have open borders. There's an entire region in Europe called the Schengen region, which is literally 29 different countries that are just an open border in Europe. So that's also not true. Third of all, we do not have an open border here. We've never had an open border here, and that's never existed. Well, at least not in the last 100 and some odd years.
Now, it's not supposed to be an open border. But
it's not.
I'm calling it an open border when somebody can walk across a fence and gain access to our country. They can take a boat from Cuba and gain access to our country. As long as they step foot on our soil. I guess people want to say refugee status, but I believe that we should stop that. There should be a way to gain access to our country, through a refugee process. But, just to say anybody who steps foot here is a refugee is just absurd to me.
Well, because it's not true. That's why it's absurd, sir. What you're describing would 100% be absurd, but it's in no way true. Okay. When we're talking about asylum seekers in this country, you don't just get to step across the border and then just claim asylum and we let you in the country. Okay. You have to have a credible fear and you have to be vetted prior to that. That's why Justin, we'll take 2024, I think it was 2023's numbers to be exact. Only 61% of people that sought asylum in this country were actually given asylum. 39% were immediately deported by either not having a credible fear or not passing a background check. Okay. So we're not just letting people just walk across the border, claim a refugee status, and then they're letting them in the country. That doesn't exist. Because like you said, that would be absurd, but it's not happening.
We have close to 12 million, according to Homeland Security, have a rough estimate of 12 million undocumented citizens
11.
in the United States right now.
But go ahead.
So how is that not true if we have those undocumented people here that we don't even know who they are?
Yeah, again, how long had those people come across over?
I mean, they've been coming over for years. But,
I know, but how long is it taking us to get to 11 million? What's your chart saying? You should have it up.
I don't have anything up. I'm just talking.
Yeah, I believe it's over 50 years. That's data over 50 years on how long it took 11.6 million people to come over into the country. And the reason why they came over into the country is because we tried to stop them, but we didn't have enough funding in order to be able to stop them. Didn't have enough Border Patrol agents. Didn't have actually what we needed in order to stop them from getting there, right? What we need is better funding at the border. And we would have already had that at the end of 2023 if Donald Trump didn't stop a piece of legislation that would have given more Border Patrol agents, would have given more money to the Border Patrol agents, and would have given more technology to the Border Patrol agents. So Donald Trump literally stopped the legislation and the funding that would have, as you would have said, closed the border more, even though it wasn't open, but it would have secured it more.
Under the Biden administration, why was that not fixed? I understand that at the end of 2023 we would have had that, but why not, at the end of 2021? Why wait till the end of your term to start trying to do anything, about the southern border?
Yeah, a week after Biden took office was the first piece of legislation that was on Congress, and Republicans wouldn't pass it. Less than a week. I think it was actually 5 days.
I don't see that as correct when you have a vice president
you don't need to see it,
the
sir.
southern border one time.
I can pull up the bill. I can show you where it was at Congress. I can show you where it was introduced. I don't need you to believe it. Okay, that's what happened. All right, and because all these things that like Trump is doing right now. I mean, up until this big beautiful bill which he passed, which that has a whole bunch of other fucking problems in it, right? But up until this, Donald Trump hasn't given more money to the Border Patrol. He can't, because you can't do that through executive order. You need Congress in order to do that. That's why when Trump's first term, he tried to get legislation passed in order to actually, get money at the border, and he couldn't get it done. He was I can pull up an interview like where he's on television begging Congress, please pass legislation so I can help out Border Patrol, and they wouldn't do it. And the same thing happened under the Biden administration. There was 3 different pieces of legislation, including one that was in under a week after he took office, to do all of those things with the border, but Congress wouldn't do it.
So do you support the idea of term limits on Congress?
Of course I do.
Good. That's awesome.
Who doesn't at this point?
Seems like the only ones that can vote on it, though, are the ones sitting in the chairs.
No, see, we put those Congress people in place. Like what? Like who's your representative in the House of Representatives?
Oh, I don't even know.
What district do you live in?
I'm in Indiana.
What Indiana district do you live in?
Southern Indiana. I'm not sure.
Yeah, see, sir, that's the problem. Is that the people that are voting down these things, or the people that are staying forever in Congress and like all this sort of stuff, right? All of those people you vote on that person for your district, and you don't even know who it is. You don't know what district you're in. You don't know whether they support your beliefs or against your beliefs. You don't know whether they voted for or against the immigration policies that you want implemented. You don't know any of this stuff, right? So how are you supposed to say, hey, I want term limits in Congress, when you don't even know who represents you in Congress? Like, I can tell you quickly online, like, what's up?
I feel like there are some things that Congress shouldn't be allowed to vote on, like pertaining to themselves, such as, we've had issues with insider trading with Congress people. Pelosi was a bad one. There's many of them on the Republican side as well, but insider trading has always been a factor in there.
I'm sorry, what proof do you have that Pelosi was doing insider trading?
You can look at her financial records and see, she made over 700% profit on Amazon alone.
Her husband is a literal venture capitalist investor. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's other than, such as people in Congress and stuff, if you've looked into venture capitalism and stuff, you would know those kind of returns on any investment are unheard of. 700% profit on any investment would be crazy to even a day trader.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people made much more than a 700% investment on Amazon if they got in early enough. Okay, that's not exactly like surprising. But regardless of any of that, sir, see, that's what I'm talking about. Well, let me ask you a question. What district does Nancy Pelosi represent?
I couldn't tell you.
Exactly. Then that's what I'm saying, sir. You're all wound up about this insider trading that you can't prove and have no evidence of. but you don't even know who represents you. How much you worry about like actually who's representing you? Because again, you don't know who represents you. Why are you worried about everybody else's district when you're not worried about your district?
I mean, I'm not worried about districts. I'm worried about Congress doing things and passing bills on things that they shouldn't be allowed to.
Sir, the
I just
person
feel
that you're
like
talking about is voting, you don't vote for.
I understand that, but I'm saying in general, like regardless of who takes the seat, I don't think Congress itself should vote whether Congress should have term limits. That should be done by the American people in general, like a flat like poll, versus Congress just being able to say, nope, we're going to veto a bill and it's not passing.
Did you ever think about voting for a representative who supports term limits?
I mean, yeah, but
no, you haven't, because you've never thought about because you've never voted for a representative. So how could you say you vote? What representative ran in your district that supports term limits?
I couldn't tell you.
I know you can't, because you can't even tell me who represents you, sir. You're
regardless of who I vote for, I'm saying, you're saying that you should just put your trust in them and, believe it when they say that they won't vote against term limits. Now, I'm saying they shouldn't even have the ability to vote against term limits.
Then who's going to have that ability?
I'm saying in general, like something that has to do with a change to Congress should be the people voting for that specific bill, not these bills that contain 20 million agendas in one. Just one simple bill that says should Congress have term limits.
So
I don't think that should be up to any congressman that could lie and say,
sir, sir, please stop talking. Who's going to decide? Who's going to be able to freaking make the call on whether that vote goes to the people or not?
You put it in a poll, just like you do the.
No, you don't put it in a poll. Who decides that can happen?
The people ultimately.
The people that you vote in, that you don't vote in because you don't pay attention to the politics in your area. This is what I'm trying to tell you, sir. All of these problems that you have a problem with can all be solved by you actually paying attention to the actual people who represent you in this country. All of these problems you're complaining about can all be solved by just paying attention to the people that represent you in your district. Whether that's state legislators, whether that's local legislators, whether that's federal legislators, all of these things that you have an issue with can all be fixed if you just solve the problem of being able to tell me who's in your district. Like you know who the president is, and you don't pay attention to anybody else. Okay. And then you're mad that all of the things that aren't controlled by the president are bad. Like
that's not what I'm saying.
No, but you
I'm
are.
Saying,
That's
no,
exactly
all
what
I
you're
said
saying.
was that a decision about Congress's ability to do something should not be controlled by Congress.
Awesome. And that's according to the Constitution. So how do we change the Constitution?
You amend it.
How do you amend it?
You go through, I would assume, Congress and the Senate.
Nope.
So how do you amend one?
You'd need a constitutional Congress to create an amendment, which requires not only representatives in the House, but requires state legislators and the president and multiple people in order to do an amendment to the Constitution. And that's how you would get it changed. Constitutional convention. Sir, I'm not saying you're not on the right track of what you want. The problem is that if you want something but you have no idea how to actually get it or how our government works, then you wanting is just whining. It's not actually going to fix anything. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that you need to know what you want. And if you want that, then you need to work to be able to fix it. But just sitting back and going, I don't like that Nancy Pelosi did insider trading with no evidence, then you're not doing anything but being another part of the problem. You're not helping anything. You need to go out and you need to find out who represents you both at your state and federally, right, in both your legislative houses. And then you need to figure out how we change things like the Constitution. And then you need to go vote for people that are going to help you do that, or be a part of organizations that are going to help you do that.
Okay.
But just you talking about it when the only person you know in your government is the president helps nothing. I don't have a problem with us putting term limits on Congress. How do we get there? Let's talk about that. Let's get there first.
I agree. I think we should have already been there. I think I'll admit that, I should know more about, my district and stuff like that. I want to disagree with you there. Really, I guess that concludes that topic.
No, that's fine, sir. I'll just move on to another caller. I think you have some reading to do.
I had a good one.
I don't care.
Okay. I mean, if you want to get rude and you want to do your thing.
I'm not being rude, sir. I'm ready to move on to the next guest because I've been talking to you for a half an hour, and you need to go look up what district in Indiana you live in, okay? And because honestly, I'm not how about this?
This is the point in the conversation where you get very rude and
sir, if you'd like me to get rude, I very much can, okay? But I'm not being rude, okay?
Man,
if you want me to get rude,
civil at the beginning,
sir, I am still being civil. All right, sir. If you want me to be rude, I don't think you're smart enough to talk to me right now. Okay,
this is what I'm talking about.
No, now
somebody who has a little less education than you.
I wasn't being rude. Now I'm being rude.
Not okay.
You see the difference, sir? I wasn't being rude at all.
You look down on people who aren't as educated.
No, I look down on you because you.
And then you look like an asshole.
All right, I'm now being rude to you. I wasn't being rude at all. I was being actually very cordial. Okay, now I'm being rude. You're too dumb to talk to me. I can be more rude if you like. Don't get all up in your feels, okay, just because you didn't know something, okay? I was actually being very sweet to you. All right? But if you want rude, I can give you rude too. That's not a problem. If you want me to be rude, then I can be rude also. Noise like, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Said Sleepy Joe could have made an executive order to shut down the border. Okay. Okay, yes, he could have, but okay, that's not what I said. What I said was he was trying to get money to the border so we had more Border Patrol agents, because even if you shut down legal immigration through an executive order, what that doesn't do is actually allow for Border Patrol agents to be able to patrol more area of the border. And in order to do that, you need more money at the border because you need more Border Patrol agents and you need more technology at the border. And you can't do that with an executive order. So yes, he could have shut down all the legal migrants coming through the border, but that's not what I care about. But anyways, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate that. Oh, guys, you guys have not seen Rude yet. Y'all are going to have to pull out your big boy panties, okay? If that upsets you and got you all in your fifis, then you're going to have to pull them up, okay? It's okay, little guys. You guys can handle it. Oh, you guys should see my YouTube chat. Just a bunch of giant fucking crybabies. You report this guy. Sad, sad, sad. Hello, how are you?
What's going on? I'm good.
Awesome. Oh, I talked to you before. Hello, how are you?
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
Me? I'm 33.
Awesome. And do you support Trump?
So I'm a conservative.
It's a yes or no answer, man.
Excuse me?
It's a yes or no answer.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Do you support Trump?
In some ways.
Okay, awesome. Well, I figured that out. Y'all, if you guys are on the TikTok side, let's get this thing up to 50,000 likes. If you're on the YouTube side and you're not a giant crybaby, let's like and subscribe that button. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm telling you, I know you guys are like really soft and all sorts of stuff. Some of you guys are really soft. It's okay. Okay. You guys will survive it. If you guys would like to support, I do have super chats open. I put them up on the screen. I talk about them just like that guy who made that very incorrect comment about executive orders. But, you know, we do that all the time. So if you guys would like to support, that's actually great. And also my pay links are in my bio and all that fun stuff too. So thank you guys for being here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button too if you're new here. I really appreciate you guys. All right. So why do you support Trump?
I support the big beautiful bill mostly. There's some aspects of it that I'm not quite as well versed on, but I think that overall the big beautiful bill is a step in the right direction for kind of getting our, I was going to say spending under control, but it is slated to be spending quite a lot over the next 10 years. But just getting money back in middle class's pockets, I guess.
It literally doesn't put a single dollar back in middle class's pocket. What are you talking about?
What do you, I mean, everything I've read off on it.
I can't understand you, sir. It sounds like you need that money. Get off of MAGA Mobile. Can't understand you.
That's funny. No, from what I've been reading, I've been hearing that anybody who's making less than $70,000 is going to be seeing like a 10% decrease in their overall income tax.
No, people that bank $70,000 a year are seeing no change in their income tax. People at under $50,000 a year will actually see the same amount of income tax, but will be hurt by more things like Medicaid and and SNAP benefits and all the other stuff. If you make $70,000, there's no changes in your taxes whatsoever. It's literally an extension of the 2017 tax cuts.
Okay, well, maybe what I read wasn't totally accurate, but with the Medicaid thing, I thought that the only changes to the Medicaid was it was taking people who undocumented people off of Medicaid, and then also just putting more, what's it called, not guidelines, but factors that you need to have in order to qualify for it. Is that, am I incorrect on that?
Yeah. So first of all, there is no taking undocumented people off of Medicaid. Any undocumented people that are on Medicaid are only on state-specific Medicaid, so therefore that's only being funded by the states. As in certain, like California has certain things within Medi-Cal where state taxes pay for undocumented migrants under certain circumstances, but no federal dollars go to Medicaid right now, so you can't affect that whatsoever. And second of all, it's not even a work requirements thing; it's a work requirements reporting problem more than anything, right? So what it's going to do is literally just kick a whole bunch of people off of Medicaid for pretty much erroneous paperwork or not being able to prove X, Y, or Z. And it's going to hurt a lot of people.
Okay. In terms of that, what for the reporting portion of that, are you saying it's an internal reporting isn't getting into them because the people aren't reporting it, or is it because paperwork isn't getting filed by the government, or what is it about the
work requirement reporting is already exists? They're just making it harder.
Okay, how so?
By adding to the amounts of paperwork that you have to do, making it more specific, making the ways that you prove it more specific. The estimate the estimate is that they're going to kick 17 million people off of Medicaid.
Yeah.
Which tracks with the $880 billion in cuts.
To a degree, I think. I mean, I've had to be on food stamps before, SNAP. I've been on Medicaid myself, and I've never had an issue getting my paperwork in. I've made sure that if I needed those benefits, that I did what I had to do. I had my T's crossed and my I's dotted to make sure that I got what I needed in order to be able to qualify for the benefits and have the paperwork ready for me to get it. I don't see an issue with making sure that people who actually need it, to a degree, some people might say it's not right to have people have to jump through more hoops, but there's a lot of people out here who do abuse the system and abuse that kind of the government handouts that they I think putting more requirements makes it harder for somebody to be able to abuse it.
No, it just makes people harder for people to be able to get it in general. See, the people that are actually abusing Medicaid have all the time in the world to make sure their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed. It's the people that are working 3 part-time jobs in order to make ends meet who really, really need Medicaid because they really don't have the ability to do things, to have the time to cross every T and dot every I because they're working their asses off. And those are the people that are going to have the hardest time keeping up with things like this, right? Because they're not going to be able to keep up with every single piece of paperwork that comes in the door that are tracking every single change or every single line that's going through every single thing. It's those people that are going to be the most affected. The people that are abusing the system, right? They can sit at home and just abuse the system more. Like what are you talking about? They're already abusing them. What makes you think they're going to they added 2 more pieces of paperwork to abuse. I'm going to stop abusing it now.
I mean, you're assuming that every single the position you're making is that the people who are abusing it, like that, every one of them is just that's the first thing on their brain. That let me reset. I'm going down a rabbit hole. To reiterate what I said before, I used to be on those programs. I used to have to work a bunch of part-time
Sir,
jobs.
good for you, but that's not changing everyone else's situation, okay?
Okay, but what I'm saying is that I'm the type of person that believes in personal responsibility. I think that if you need to get something done, if you want to get something done, if you want to take care of yourself, you want to be successful, you have to put in the effort. And yeah, sometimes it's going to be difficult. Absolutely, it is difficult. But I think that putting the word obstacle is the first word that pops into my head, but more requirements, a system.
No, you were right the first time. Obstacles.
Likely. Sure. Obstacles.
Yeah, putting more obstacles in the way of people that are the most desperate people in this country, people on disabilities, people that are elderly, people that are caretakers.
It's not only them, though. It's not only them.
I'm sorry, who else is it for?
It's for anybody who meets the requirements.
And what are the requirements?
In my opinion, to be under a certain amount of money that you bring in every single year and meet the I don't know. I don't remember all the requirements. It's been years since I've been on that stuff.
So here's the crazy part. You've been on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that people are abusing the system, okay? So hold on, sir. What percentage of people are actually abusing the system that you know, first of all? And second of all, you do realize that people aren't sitting at home getting a freaking Medicaid check since apparently you've been on it, right? It's people get sick. Also, it increases copays for people that do get sick, by the way. That's another great benefit for people on Medicaid, all right? But since people aren't sitting at home getting a check, and people are obviously making less than $50,000 a year, and there's already a work requirement and a reporting thing, and the people that don't have that work requirement are exempt, so they're disabled, then where in the heck are we cutting 17 million people from?
I don't know where that figure comes from myself. So it's when I see figures like that, I don't really know how to take them.
How about $880 billion? That's in the bill that you said you liked and read.
$880 billion in Medicaid cuts?
Mm-hmm.
Over how long?
10 years. Well, actually, sorry, they revamped it. It's over $1 trillion now.
Okay. Do you think that our Medicaid has been being used in a proper way where we have been using that money in actual
how about
way?
this? And since you didn't answer the question, and now you're asking a question about what I just asked you, I'll just answer the question. Yeah. So based off of what we know about Medicaid, there's less than 2% of anything in there that's actually being abused, which will not even close to account for the amount of money and the amount of people they're trying to cut. And less than 8% of people on Medicaid are not already working or like exempt from working. So cutting them doesn't actually fix the problem either. So even if you add up the misuse and the people that are supposedly not working, it still doesn't account for the amount of money that they're trying to cut, that they're going to cut, or the amount of people that are going to lose Medicaid. So even if you take out every single misuse and every single person that's not working, it still does not account for how many people are getting kicked off, and this does not account for how much money they're cutting out.
Well, them saying 17 million people are going to get kicked off, how do you consider that to be a completely accurate figure?
I think it's a great estimate, yes.
Okay, because for me, when I hear figures like that, I look at it as, and I feel personally that
Sir, ignore the 17 million.
Until we see the actual numbers come in of people
Ignore
who
it.
have been cut off.
Ignore
You
it.
can make estimations all this.
Ignore the 17
What?
million number. Tell me about the 800
Sure.
or over the $1 trillion. Tell me
Okay.
about the $1 trillion, because that's not an estimate. That is how much is being cut. So tell me
Okay.
about the $1 trillion.
It's $1 trillion in taxpayer money that's going to, I hope, be used somewhere.
It
that
is
we
being
can
used to give tax cuts to rich people. But regardless of all of that, that's still $1 trillion in people that aren't going to now have Medicaid, $1 trillion worth of Medicaid benefits that are not going to exist for those people. Who's getting cut if that's more money than everybody who doesn't work and every piece of fraud?
I don't know the answer to that.
I'll tell you where it's going to get cut. It's getting cut from people that actually need Medicaid that aren't going to get it. All right. That's where because that's the only other people left. If it's not the people abusing the system and it's not the people that are supposedly, not working or whatever and like doing all that sort of stuff. If it's not them, then it's all the people who desperately need Medicaid. Okay, for their surgeries, for their medications, for all the things that you need Medicaid for, that is where the cuts are coming from, and those money is going taken directly out of Medicaid, and it's going to tax cuts for rich people.
To me, that doesn't make sense. If they're cutting Medicaid funding, they're not taking that money and then giving it to rich people. A tax cut for rich people isn't them getting a check from the government. It's them having to pay less income taxes on the money that they make per year.
Yeah, yes, sir. I know what an income tax cut is. I'm sorry. Did I really need to draw that out? You like truly?
No.
Did I really need to write that out
to
that say all of this money is now going to replace money that is going to be taken off by taxes by the rich people not paying them, and that is where that money really I need to draw that all the way out for you. You want to play a freaking semantics argument right now with me?
You're always playing semantics arguments with everybody.
Oh, you're a fan.
Yeah, I watch you all the time. We talked a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
You talk to me all the time and you still came up with this crap? Are you listening to me all the time and you come up to me with this crap?
I talked to you a couple of weeks ago. Just once.
Oh. I'm just saying
either way,
you would think that you would just have a better argument if you listen to me all the time.
Well, in my opinion, I just don't see where this $1 trillion, how it's going to go towards tax cuts for rich. I don't know. Aside from that, if we want to move on to another topic, or if you want to move on to another person, would you like to move?
I'll ask you one more question about this topic.
Yeah. Sure.
Then where's it going?
880 million or billion?
Mm-hmm. Well, over $1 trillion. Where's it going then?
Yeah. I don't know where any of the money in the government's going, honestly. At the end of the day, I'm maybe a 50% informed citizen. I can be more informed on stuff by a long shot, and I could be way less informed. To the end of the day, I hope that it's going towards some sort of you're saying it's going towards tax cuts for the rich people. Perhaps it's something that's going towards the continuation of the 2017 tax cuts for the middle class. I mean, it could be either one of those.
It's not either one of those because, again, we've had the 2017 tax cuts and we did all of those without the cuts to Medicaid. So those haven't changed. The only thing that's changed is larger tax cuts for rich people. Okay, in the tune of $4.3 trillion. Okay,
and
so that's where it
at?
had to go. Okay, but yeah, I'll move on to somebody else. But I do appreciate you. Okay. Right?
Yeah, no, thanks, man. I appreciate
have a
the
good
conversation.
Anyways, Mr. Appleskin, thank you so much for the 99 cent super chat. I really appreciate that. Brian, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Said answer the 80. Oh, sorry, I can't have this up here. I don't answer based off of what your number is. I just answer the next person that ends up on the line. Sorry. But thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Here's a go on $2 super chat from KJ. Is it true that 70% of Medicaid recipients are white? That is 100% true. That is 100% true. And a lot of the freaking people that are the states that are voting all this stuff in, literally are red states that are going to be getting the hardest hit from this. We already see rural hospitals that are either shutting down or talking about shutting down based off of these Medicaid cuts. 1 in 4 nursing homes can be shut down. About 300 different rural hospitals are looking to be shut down. Yep, really, really crazy. Beauty Boutique, thank you so much for the $2 PayPal. I really appreciate that. Said, ask MAGA, why is Trump eating ice cream instead of helping Texans who voted for him? Yeah, apparently Biden eating ice cream was the worst thing in the world, but Trump doing it. But yes, KJ, that is 100% true. Thank you so much. All right, y'all, we're going to move on to the next caller. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you guys would like support, super chats are open for stuff like this. We'll have conversations. We'll talk about them. Whether you love me, hate me, whatever. But the support really goes a long way to help me do this every day, so I really appreciate it. If you guys would like support on the TikTok side, I do have the live gift goal, and I'm still trying to catch Ari on subs. So if you guys would like to subscribe over there, that's a great way to support. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tito. I appreciate that. Hello, how are you?
Yo, why you always hang up on me every time I call?
Hello, how are you?
How big is it?
Hello, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. How old are you?
I am 27 years old.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Enough.
What do you mean
Better
by
than
enough?
the competition. I liked him better than Kamala. I liked him better than Biden. I liked him better than Clinton. He's a human being. He's flawed. I think he's a little arrogant, personally. Don't like his character. Think he's not a great person. Wouldn't
And
invite him
not
to
a good
dinner.
president. So yeah, just all the way across the board. Just yeah. Not a good person or
Fair
a good
enough.
president. Yeah, that makes him great. But anyways, so why do you support Trump?
Well, I'm not a big fan of some of my tax dollars going to support certain things I morally disagree with. I typically vote Republican because I am against abortion. I'm also against the transgender stuff. And while I get people, the law's the law and people can do what they want, I don't want to have to support it.
Awesome. Do you know what the Hyde Amendment is?
The Hyde Amendment?
Yes.
I've heard of it, yes.
Okay, what is the Hyde Amendment?
I said I've heard of it, not that I'm familiar with it. But
So
I
you don't-
believe it has something to do with what I said, tax dollars.
Yeah, it
Not
literally
supporting
bans the use of federal tax dollars for abortion. So that wasn't a thing regardless of who's president. So that's not a reason to support Trump because Trump didn't create the Hyde Amendment. That was already in place.
Yes, but money's fungible.
Okay, that
You
doesn't change that
help-
there's a single dollar going to affect abortion care in this country. So
Sure it does.
sure,
if-
can you prove that?
And all right, if I help Planned Parenthood keep their lights on, pay their bills for other stuff, that means they can use more profit that they get from any of their other sources to go to providing and advocating for abortion.
Yeah. So let me be clear. What percentage of Planned Parenthood's care is actually abortion?
Well, that's a funny thing. If they have every abortion do maybe a CT scan or maybe have every abortion take a pregnancy test or do that, they can fudge those numbers. Again, it's
Sir, what percentage
hard to tell.
of Planned Parenthood money, Planned Parenthood care, has anything to do with abortion?
They claim numbers that are less than don't have it in front of me, but something like 30%. That's what they claim.
It's
but again,
3%.
if
It's 3%, not 30. 3%.
Not
Even the
30.
most conservative freaking things say less than 5%. 95 plus percentage Planned Parenthood's money goes to all sorts of other reproductive care that has nothing to do with abortion. So when money is going to Planned Parenthood, it's going to things like cancer screenings, it's going to things like contraceptive, it's going to all sorts of things, okay, that have nothing to do with abortion. So when you see things like the Hyde Amendment and money's not going to abortion, Planned Parenthood doesn't need abortion. It's, again, a very small percentage of the things that they do, a very, very tiny percentage. So when you take away things from Planned Parenthood, what you're really doing is you're stopping women from being able to get cancer screenings. How do you how do you justify that morally?
You can get cancer screenings at your hospital. Plenty of doctors' offices that don't perform abortions that can do cancer screenings. I'm all in favor of cancer screenings.
Oh, so people can't get freaking medical care where they need it? Because, again, at Planned Parenthood, because they're funded by the government for all sorts of these things, it's actually much cheaper to get those.
I mean, if they're funded by the government to get those, and I support the government funding certain things, especially cancer
What about pap smears? You got a problem with that?
Absolutely not.
Well, you're supporting Donald Trump, and he's cutting funding to all of this stuff.
Well, like I said, I only partially support him, and politics is a little bit of a business. But if that is so important, would you agree to fund with federal dollars an organization that does pap smears, that does other types of cancer screenings, that maybe does some mammograms, other stuff like that? I'm all in favor of women's health, but that specifically does not support abortion, or does not perform abortions. Don't say support. I don't care what they agree or don't agree with, just as long as they don't perform it. But would you? I
support any type of government support for any type of healthcare whatsoever. Period, regardless of who that's for. But regardless of any of that, you're the one that's supporting the cutting off of these healthcare benefits, not me.
Some of them, yes, and with the abortion, again, I disagree with it morally. I've heard your case, but I don't want to pay for it, especially be forced to pay for it, which is what taxes are, quite frankly.
But you're not doing that already.
Money's fungible.
Sir, money's fungible doesn't prove that a single dollar of federal tax dollars that has ever existed has ever gone to Planned Parenthood for a singular abortion. So unless you can prove to me in some way, shape, or form that money is directly going to abortions, which again is against the Hyde Amendment, which again was already outlawed under the Biden administration, okay? So unless you can prove that a single dollar is going to that, then we're just literally dealing with your feelings, and your feelings that are so just fragile that just because somebody, this organization gives abortions, that you're willing to get rid of all the medical care that goes along with it, all the cancer screenings, all the pap smears, all the great things that Planned Parenthood does. If your feelings on abortion are so fragile that you're willing to give up all of that help for women, because due to a not being able to prove a single dollar is going to abortion, then I don't know why we're having a conversation here, because it just sounds like you just hate women.
Oh, I most certainly don't hate women, but I value the life of the child, of the innocent. That being said, I think you're underestimating just how dedicated Planned Parenthood is to abortion. If they say that 3% number, does that include some of the travel that they might help with for women in red states to go to blue states where abortion is more prevalent and is legal at later term?
I don't believe Planned Parenthood even does that. There's lots of private organizations that do that, and there's even states that will do that, but I don't even believe Planned Parenthood provides that service.
They help coordinate that service.
Oh my goodness, sir. Sir,
Oh
please
my
show me where
goodness.
$1 went to perform an abortion. If you can't do that, then just admit you hate women. I don't really care which one. But this ridiculous pretzeling of this conversation in order to try to prove that somehow one of your dollars has somehow gone to an abortion because you just hate abortion that much. Like, seriously, dude. Like, either show me some type of proof that shows that money was actually going, federal dollars were going to abortion. And if you can't, then just say you hate women or you hate Planned Parenthood because of it, and we'll just move on. Because this is just a giant pretzel conversation that's literally doing nothing.
I don't hate women, but I do hate Planned Parenthood for performing abortions. Yes, I do. I'll say that.
Aren't you a religious guy?
I am.
Oh, doesn't the Bible say not to hate? Not a very
I'm
good
not
Christian.
always great at that.
Not a very good Christian.
No, I have to go to confession
Yeah.
regularly.
You know. No hate like Christian love, right? Anyways, would you like to go to your next point?
I like lower taxes.
You like lower taxes. Okay.
Yeah, I think it promotes growth. I think it's just good to have more money in the pocket. I don't like paying for some stuff that maybe I do, maybe I don't agree with. I do give to charity. I actually give to my work charity. I give to my church. I give to actually a decent amount of organizations. Love the March for Dimes. A lot of stuff. And, I especially give to...
Sir, I don't need your whole tax write-off list. We can just get to the point, man.
Well, I think that the government subsidizing stuff is one, inefficient, and two, discourages private charity, which is one, more efficient, and two, more moral. And three, better for society, makes people feel like they're actually contributed instead of thinking, oh, the government cares for that.
Gotcha. So what private organization is better at providing police services than the government?
Oh, I don't believe that any. I'm fine with the government for military. Roads too, even. I hate toll roads and other stuff like that.
You know those things cost taxes, right?
Oh, I know. I didn't say I'm in favor of getting rid of every single tax, sir. I said I wanted lower taxes. And a lot of the stuff that the government is spending money on, especially some of the entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, while these are things I do support, supporting the poor, supporting the elderly, these are very, very expensive programs, very inefficient, and I feel would be better served on more local levels.
All right. Well, first of all, sir, Donald Trump isn't doing tax cuts in any way, shape, or form that are actually going to less government spending. Again, government spending is at an all-time high.
Unfortunately not.
Hold on. Government spending is at an all-time high. Donald Trump is adding another $4 trillion worth of debt. Okay. And he's not lowering the middle class tax cuts at all. He's just doing an extension of the 2017 tax cuts while only raising
middle class tax cuts.
Which it did to a small amount. The average median household income person received another $600 and something a year, while the average person in the top 1% received over $60,000 a year, right? So again, even his 2017 tax cuts disproportionately went to the richest people on the planet. But the middle class people got between a 1% and 2% tax cut, which again, that is a tax cut technically. So I'm not going to argue with you on it, right? But regardless of any of that, he's literally. Difference. Yeah, sure. Again, whatever. We can argue the 1-2% while he gives corporations 14%. Okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But regardless of any of that, tax cuts can be okay. I don't have a huge problem with tax cuts as long as the government spending goes along with it. That was the entire point of fiscal conservatism, is that we shrink the size of the government. We give tax cuts, right, by also shrinking the government. Donald Trump doesn't do that, right? He gives tax cuts to rich people, doesn't change the spending in the government, except for currently where, he's taken away things like Medicaid. He's taken away things that, tens of millions or hundreds of millions. I'm not even sure how many people are on. I think 76 million people are on Medicaid. So he does it by taking away healthcare services from poor people, which is just sad.
I'm not going to rehash the last argument you had. I don't think it went really very well for either of you, but I will agree that if there, and of course there always are, and it's very hard to paint with a broad brush and paint within the lines, but anyone who needs the Medicare that does get cut, that is a sad case. I'll agree with you, and I'll even agree that no, Donald Trump's not really a fiscal conservative. But I talked about the taxes. I believe that both Kamala and Biden would have let those tax cuts expire and probably would not have made them not have really reduced taxes for the middle class. About corporations, while I'm not someone who really sympathizes
Before we move on to
with
corporations, you do realize
Yeah.
that even though Kamala Harris only ran for 3 months and had, like, even on my admission, a limited economic plan, one of the main points of her economic plan was that she was not going to get rid of those tax cuts and that the middle class wouldn't pay a single dollar. Even though she didn't even have that many, like, economic plans, that was like a very, very clear one.
She didn't have that many economic plans, but, you know, I have a sneaking feeling, and again, feelings aren't based on facts, but she didn't talk much, but those are the Trump tax cuts, and every politician, especially Trump, but, you know, Biden and Harris are guilty of this too. They have an ego. And for them to hear that news line, Biden/Harris keeps Trump tax cuts, that just eats under their skin. That doesn't play as well in the news. It makes them seem less liberal, makes them seem like they're more capitulating to the MAGA side. So even if that really isn't the case, which you would argue, and you'd be right to argue that that wouldn't be what they were doing, there would be strong pressure to at least change the tax cuts, and I believe that those changes would be changes for the worst.
All right. Well, here we
Furthermore,
are
I
back in
believe-
your feelings again. Okay. We're right back into your feelings where you have, again, no proof, just a whole bunch of feels. Okay.
Well,
But again, that was already not proven correct because, again, Biden kept Trump's tariffs in Biden's term and kept them even though they were started by Trump. So we already show right there where if a president on the Democratic side thinks that something is good for America, they have no problem keeping it, even if it was put in by a Republican president. It's only the Republicans that have the big issue keeping anything that was done by Democrats because it makes them feel that they're weak, right? But again, that was Kamala Harris's plan. So again, sir, you have no basis in reality. You're just talking about how you feel. You feel that Planned Parenthood is doing this, or you feel that Kamala Harris would have done the tax cuts. You feel this, you feel that. Do you have anything that you're actually going to, like, discuss with me that actually has some type of proof to it, or is this just like a targeted therapy session?
Although I disagree, I do think you're funny, so I liked that comment actually very much. My retort would be, when you vote, which is the ultimate form of support, you do so based off of what you think the future will happen. That's based on what they say, but politicians lie. That's basically the most common joke in America. So to say that you don't think that you can't speculate about what a politician would do, well, that's what you do when you vote, which again is the ultimate form of support. So when you say, why do you support Donald Trump, which is another way of saying, why didn't you support Kamala Harris, part of it is your speculation. And as far as the feeling on Planned Parenthood, they do perform abortions. I do not like that. I am allowed to vote based off of my morality, whether you think that is perceived or whether you think that
Sir,
morality
you're allowed to vote on
is
whatever you
abused.
want. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm letting you know that you're voting just based off your feelings. You have no evidence and no proof of anything. Okay, you have not obviously done your research on anything that we're talking about. Okay, and you are literally just up here going, well, I feel this way and I feel that way. And every single time I show you or tell you or have any evidence of anything that goes against your feelings, you just completely ignore me. Okay. And you just move on to something else that you want to talk about. Because again, we're not talking about anything that has to do with reality, right? You could, you could be voting
Planned
based off of
Parenthood does abortions in reality, don't they?
abortions happen in reality. Federal funding for abortions don't happen in reality. Okay. That's just your feeling.
Federal funding for Planned Parenthood happened in reality.
And again, none of those dollars went to funding for abortions in reality.
Did they fund the
Okay,
locations
sir,
where
we
the
already
abortions happened?
did
I
this
don't care.
part, and you already failed to have the argument the first time. I definitely do not want to have it with you
Did they
again.
help pay the salary of people who assisted in the
Sir,
abortion?
do you have
Sir, that's part of abortion.
Sir, do you have enough brain cells to hear what I just said and comprehend it?
I hear what you said, but
Okay.
I think that you are trying to
do
limit
not want
what an
to have
abortion
this
is.
conversation with you again. It was a failure of a conversation the first time, and I do not want to have it again.
All right.
Awesome. So stop trying to litigate something you already lost. All right. So again, for the final time, is there anything that you actually have proof of that you would like to make a statement of and not just your feelings? Because again, this just feels like a therapy session.
Funding of transgender therapy.
Funding of transgender therapy. Okay. Where are you?
Yes.
Where does your religion say that transgenderism doesn't exist? Shouldn't exist.
When it says that God created them male and female.
Yes, male and female are
When
sexes,
it says
not genders. I asked you where it says that genders don't exist.
Well, I reject the concept of gender. In fact, Aquinas talks about the soul being a genderless thing, because if male and female souls were different, then we would be separate species, which we are not. So we believe that the soul is not gendered. One could call that the mind. I don't really care personally. One could call that the brain, but we believe that is not gendered, but the body is sexed. Therefore, sex exists, gender doesn't. Transgenderism is just an attempt to change the sex, and again, God created you the way you are.
It doesn't
so
attempt to change the sex. That's the thing. As again, you don't know what you're talking about. There is in no way, shape, or form are they trying to change the sex. It is literally in the name, sir.
Simple layman's terms.
It's literally called trans. What's the second word?
Called transgender.
Gender,
therapy.
not trans-sex.
Transsexual is a very common term until transgenderism changed.
Yeah, so again, it's I know it is from people like you. I'm sure it was, okay? But regardless of it, that it's literally transgender, okay? It has nothing to do with male or sir. Okay? And again, transgenderism has been around for a very long time. It's literally biblical. Okay, there are literally transgender words used in the biblical in the Bible. There are literal freaking 8 genders that are recognized within Judaism that has been around thousands of years. We have proof of transgenderism back in the Mayans and all sorts of tribal societies in the United States, or tribal societies in the world. It is not like, seriously, the fact that you are concentrating yourself on people who are just trying to live their own lives. And apparently, according to you, God made a bunch of mistakes, because God apparently made a mistake of putting somebody, having someone feel a certain way. And apparently they don't feel that certain way. So God must have made a huge mistake when it came to how they made their brain work. And apparently, you don't want them to try to fix it. But we do gender affirming care for all sorts of things. It is just really weird that you have spent most of this conversation concerning yourself with people that are just trying to live their life. And you just are so nose stuck in everyone else's life that has become your main concern.
I don't want to pay.
Sir, you couldn't even tell me where your tax dollars are going. Okay?
Sir, the VA has stopped doing transgender therapy because of Donald Trump. That is my tax dollars going to a federal organization that has stopped paying for a certain thing. You want some receipt? There's a receipt.
Yeah, where else are your tax dollars going for the VA?
Plenty of things.
Like what?
I've spent a lot. We've got a lot of staff at the VA.
That do what?
Most of them necessary. Well, administrators, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, reception workers, people who work in the lab. The hospitals are very big. There's a lot of funding. Furthermore, you have to procure drugs. You have to pay for malpractice insurance. That's just an unfortunate part of the healthcare business.
Sweet. How much do those things cost?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're expensive.
Okay. I was just
Hospitals are
wondering.
expensive.
I was just wondering if you were, as inept to as educated on all of the things that our money is not going to that can actually help veterans. Okay, that are failing to help veterans in the United States right now. Okay, and how we have like huge homeless veterans problems and all sorts of. I was just wondering if you were like had the ability to think about any of that, or if you were so scared of transgender people that's all you were worried about, and you pretty much showed me right there that you that's all you were worried about. I'm going to give you something that I'm going to give you a piece of advice. I'm going to give you a piece of advice that your Bible didn't. Well, actually, your Bible does give you lots of pieces of advice that you're obviously not listening to. One, it's to love your neighbor, right? And it also tells you. I'm also hold on, sir. I'm still talking. It also says that God should be the person judging people, not you. Okay. But what the other piece of thing that they should have given you advice on, it's this big thing called mind your own business. Okay. If somebody doesn't feel like they belong in the gender that they were assigned at birth, because again, gender you're not born with, gender is something that you're assigned by society. Okay. If somebody isn't assigned with their doesn't correlate with their assigned gender at birth, or that they were assigned at birth, that hurts you zero. Okay? It hurts you completely zero. All right? It does nothing to hurt you whatsoever. All right? So
you don't think it hurts me to live in a society that affirms lies?
Sir, I think your entire religion is a lie, and you're affirming it on my lie. And trust me, I promise you, religion, especially your religion, has done way more damage than any transgender person or any group of transgender person has ever done without history. I'll refer to the Crusades. Oh yeah, and slavery. Okay.
Oh, the Crusades were justified. The Muslim invasions of Spain and a bunch of old Christian areas, it was a defensive war.
Yeah.
They sieged.
You see how this person is literally using. Shut up. This person is literally using his religion to freaking justify genocide, while also saying that freaking.
Oh no!
I will hang up on you if you cut me off again.
You cut me off all the time, sir.
I do not care.
It is your show. Fair enough.
Your religion has literally been used to justify the most heinous acts on this fucking planet. Okay?
Like the Mayan child sacrifice?
Oh, like the Holocaust.
Child sacrifice? No, the Germans really didn't like...
I said if you cut me off again, I was hanging up on you. Literally, your religion has been used to do the most heinous things on the planet. You should learn to mind your own business. Okay? Your guys' the right's obsession with transgender people is fucking wild. It's fucking wild. If y'all spent like this much time, like if y'all spent a quarter of the time y'all worry about fucking transgender people actually reading your Bible, you would actually be a halfway decent person. Y'all, I swear that all of you guys are just like obsessed with trans people. It is so strange. I'm gonna let you guys into a little secret. I don't even think about transgender people until y'all bring it up. Y'all have transgender people on the mind 24/7. 24/7. What is wrong with you guys? Like, seriously, y'all are so weird, dude. To have another group of people that affects you zero just on your mind all the time is the strangest fucking thing. Just so I let you know. Super wild. Anyways, Oh, I told him I didn't even want to talk about that last subject. He forced me into that last conversation. He got worked on the first two subjects, and I wanted to come on that one. But anyways, Shay, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. It says America First slogan is BS. All American citizens deserve health care. 1,000%. I might put this one back up. Fred, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. Said, caller, just stop embarrassing yourself. And Dave the Train Guy, thank you so much for being here. It says, I'm losing brain cells with this guy. Yeah, I'm sorry that's why I had to kick him, because literally I felt like I was getting stupider after the first two conversations I had with him. There was no way I was listening to him freaking chalk down on transgender people and try to use his religion to do it too. That dude had two brain cells that were fighting for third place. So that wasn't going to happen. But thank you guys all so much for the super chats. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Kayla, thank you so much for the Venmo. Said, this pretzel needs some beer cheese. Dear Lord. And Polly, you should be getting paid at least $110 an hour for therapy. I definitely should be. I think that guest should immediately Venmo me $110 for the therapy for the therapy session that I had to put him in with his feelings. I feel like money's going to Planned Parenthood for this. Do you have proof? My feelings. My feelings told me. All right. Anyways, y'all, thank you guys so much, guys. If you guys are here on the YouTube side, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys. I don't know why everybody I'm gonna take the YouTube chat and just move it to the side. There's a lot of crying going on there. There's a bunch of crying people like, oh my God, you're mean. My dad didn't love me, or whatever they're saying. I'm not really paying attention. But thank you guys so much. If you guys like support, send a super chat. I'll make sure I put it up on the screen and we'll talk about it and have some fun with it. I really appreciate y'all. Pay links are in the link tree also. Also, if you guys like support on TikTok, I did have my little rose bears here. So if you guys like support, that's a great way to do it. Also, subscribe and help me catch up to Ari. I'd really appreciate that too. That's really awesome. It helps the live keep going. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to open up these phone lines, keep this thing going. Hope you all are having a wonderful night and enjoying the show. Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm a supporter. I just have a quick question for you. If you could ask Micah for me.
What's up?
Okay, I've been seeing some people say, like, especially the men, that they're cool with, like, AB as long as, like, incest or rape. So can you ask them why they feel like we should have rights to our body once we've been violated first? Because that shit is just wild as fuck.
I like asking them why they think it's a human being if it's not grape, but it's not one if is grape. That's always a weird thing to me. It's a very strange dichotomy. But yes, I'll be more than happy to ask that question. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Megan, you're about to get muted in my chat too. I muted Ari. You think I won't mute you? You think I won't? Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. How old are you?
I am 19.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
Because you're a stupid ass monkey ass nigger. Fucking jigaboo. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking retarded ass, faggot ass, fucking monkey doo doo head bitch.
Oh, where'd you go? I had questions for you. Why'd you hang up? Aw. They always run away. Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
I do, yes, sir.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Awesome. Hey, Gucci, thank you so much for the subscription on TikTok. I appreciate that. All right. So why do you support Trump?
I think he was definitely a better option. There's a lot of things that he says in the past that I agree with that no other politician has probably even brought up or talked about.
Well, I mean, that's fine. He says all sorts of stuff. We could have a presidential candidate that said he's going to turn the entire earth into cream cheese, and then we're all going to eat dip off the ground. But just because someone says something doesn't mean anything. Shouldn't we be more concerned with what a president does?
I mean, sure, 100%. But when it comes to making your vote, you got to go based off what they say they're going to do.
Well, I mean, that's only if they haven't already been president. And we saw what Donald Trump said he was going to do in his first term and showed how he failed at doing all of them in his first term. So if he failed to do everything in his first term that he said he was going to do, why would I believe him in his second term?
Well, he didn't fail at everything he said he was going to do.
I'm sorry, what did he accomplish?
He built the wall. He did the Abraham Accords. I mean, there's a bunch of shit.
Well, he did the Abraham Accords, but he didn't run off of doing the Abraham Accords. That wasn't part of his campaign whatsoever. And while he did build some wall, he said he was going to build a wall that was going to be impenetrable, that was going to go from literally the Atlantic to the Pacific, like was going to reach the entire 2,000 miles of the southern border, and he built less than 50 miles of wall. So I wouldn't exactly call that a promise kept.
I don't think he built less than 50 miles of wall, but
of new wall. Yes, that's not for opinion. He built less than 50 miles of new wall. If you include wall that he built, that he replaced, that wasn't, that was already there, then he'd still less than 500. So it's still less than a quarter of the wall. But of new wall, it was 47, less than 50 miles.
We can go on other reasons why I support him. I think being the only president to talk about lowering taxes for removing taxes on tips and overtime. I can't remember any other politician who's ever tried to run off of that. I can't also
Bernie
remember
Sanders
any other politician.
And Rand Paul.
Okay, well, I can give you multiple reasons why they'd be a terrible choice.
I didn't say that they. I could say reasons why they'd be a terrible choice too, but that wasn't Trump's idea. That was a Bernie Sanders policy and a Rand Paul policy. So literally, Donald Trump just stole it. So when you said you can't think of another president that ran off of that, there's two.
Okay, we can also go off of the fact that Donald Trump has supported term limits on Congress, and he has also supported ending lobbying and being the only politician who actually talks about ways to do that.
Yes, and what has he actually done to end that? Or even made a single stride towards it?
The entire Congress is going to say no to it.
His entire Congress is Republican, and he controls them.
Okay, 0% of them want term limits on Congress, though.
Awesome. So what bill has he even introduced? Has he even tried to introduce a bill? Has he put in any legislation to even attempt to do it?
Not necessarily term limits on Congress, no. But, I mean, he's, 6 months in?
Yeah, sir. But again, we were talking about the things that
there's an agenda he's got to
but sir,
go
we
through
were
that he's
already
ran on.
we were talking about the first term, and I was asking what he actually did in his first term, which again, you brought up build the wall, which again, he didn't do. The Abraham Accords were not part of his things. I think he ran on build the wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. Neither of which happened. He ran on lock up Hillary Clinton. That didn't happen. He said he was going to build, he's going to have the largest infrastructure bill in American history. Not only did he not get that infrastructure bill done, but Joe Biden got it done instead. He said he was going to cap insulin costs. Again, another thing that he wasn't able to get done that was able to get done under Biden. So when we're talking about him making promises that he could keep in his first term, he didn't keep any of his promises. Didn't he say he was going to replace Obamacare? Never did that either.
Okay, so let's start here. You're saying I got to figure out what you're saying is true or not, because you're the first thing that you said was he only built 50 miles of wall. Where are you getting that source? Because that is just a complete. Yeah, no, that's wrong.
All right, so where's your source saying otherwise?
PolitiFact. I'm looking at it right here.
PolitiFact. And what's the name of it?
POLITIFACT.
I know how to spell PolitiFact. What's the name of the article?
How many miles of border wall did Trump build?
Oh, I'm sorry. PolitiFact said it was 52 miles. Is that what you're bragging about?
No, read the next one.
Yeah, the Trump administration built 52 miles of new primary border barriers.
The next point. It says the Trump administration built 458 total miles of primary and secondary border barriers.
Yes, sir. I specifically said less than 50 miles of new border wall. If you include wall where there was already wall there, then it's still less than 500. That is exactly what I said.
That's not what built. He built new 458 total miles of primary and secondary border barriers. That has nothing to do with walls that are already there. That is new border barriers.
Sir. The first line says built 52 miles of new primary border barriers. 458 is the primary border barriers. The beginning of the walls right here, the new wall is 52. If you combine that with secondary border barriers for wall that was already there, then the total is 458. 52 new miles of wall, a total of 458 if you include secondary walls, which is there was wall was already there. These are literally almost, I'm sorry I said less than 50 miles when it was 52. My bad.
Okay, sorry, but look how many he's starting to build now, because it's already up to 103 miles.
Sir, we're
That is a
not
promise
talking
that he
about
is
the
keeping
wall.
on.
I am talking about Donald Trump keeping his promises in his first term. That is what the conversation is about.
Well, he also said he didn't run on the specific Abraham Accords, but in his first term, he did run on bringing peace to the Middle East, which the Abraham Accords were a stepping stone to that.
Literally, the October 7th attacks can have a large part in large part of the blame for the October 7th attacks is literally the Abraham Accords, the literal opposite of peace in the Middle East. Which
okay, who did the October 7th attacks? A terrorist organization?
Yes.
Exactly, dude. What the fuck? You can't justify anything a terrorist organization does.
Yes, you can.
That is crazy. They commit acts of terrorism. What are you talking about?
Sir, the entire act.
You cannot
what is an
justify
act of terrorism?
terrorism?
What is an act of terrorism?
I don't know, killing 1,200 innocent human
No.
beings.
I'm not asking for an
example.
example, ding dong. I'm asking what the definition is.
I'm sure it's something along the lines of doing harm to innocent people.
Probably
for extremism reasons.
For a purpose, sir. There has to be a purpose behind it. So yes, there is a justification for every single terrorist attack. And if there is a justification, if there is a reason, then you can account why that reason exists. Okay, and literally the reason why the terrorist attacks exist is because of the isolation of Palestine, which is led by Hamas, which is a funded terrorist organization according to multiple countries across the planet, right? And because of that isolation from that outside of trade, even though that Saudi Arabia said that they would never sign a trade deal that included Israel without the creation of Palestine as a free state and away from Israel, and since Palestine was then isolated based off the Abraham Accords, along with the moving of the embassy from Tel Aviv, right, over into Jerusalem, created the perfect scenario in which Hamas felt like they were isolated and then was a big catalyst for the attack on October 7th, which the October 7th attacks literally led to multiple other attacks. So literally the exact opposite of peace in the Middle East.
Well, I mean, you're referring to literally your rebuttal was one day that you replied with for it wasn't peace in the Middle East. It was one day. Abraham Accords lasted for 3, 4, maybe 5 years. I'm not too sure, honestly. But not only did they hold up so well that there was just one day that ended it all, but it was one terrorist organization compared to the entirety of the Middle Eastern countries that have signed them.
Hold on.
It wasn't even any of the countries from the Abraham Accords that actually went against them. They still were all at peace.
First of all, let's stop
terrorist
here.
organization to break it.
Let's stop twice here. One, if there wasn't peace in the Middle East, you don't get to say, oh, the countries that were already peaceful that were part of the Abraham Accords, because all the countries that were in the Abraham Accords weren't fighting before.
Yeah, they've been fighting for over 60, 70 years.
Sir,
and not only that, but a lot of them wouldn't even...
Sir, the countries that were in the Abraham Accords weren't fighting before. So you can't say that the Abraham Accords caused peace between the countries that already weren't fighting. And again, on top of that, there was tons of violence around the Middle East when apparently what he was running on was peace in the Middle East, not peace for certain countries that already weren't fighting with each other.
Well, also, it doesn't even matter if they were necessarily fighting with guns. A lot of those countries that did sign the Abraham Accords wouldn't even look at Israel as a state.
Sir,
they didn't even refer to them as an actual state. And not only did the Abraham Accords get them to recognize that.
Was there peace in the Middle East?
I mean, for the most part, yeah. If you want to refer to the Syrian civil war, that's something completely different. Is there peace in the Middle East? That has nothing to do with bringing countries together. I don't think you can really say the Abraham Accords weren't for countries to figure out their
since there was not and is currently not and has never been peace in the Middle East, according to your own admission, then he did not have his promise of creating peace in the Middle East.
Most of these countries throughout the history of Israel being a nation were at war and have hated Israel. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. The diplomatic relationships between all of them have definitely gotten way better. They're literally not at war right now.
Sir, you're avoiding what you're saying. You keep trying to switch the subject away from what we're talking about to try to pigeonhole into these tiny little arguments.
There's more peace in the Middle East right now because of the Abraham Accords.
Sir, is there peace in the Middle East?
Way less.
Yes or no answer. It is not a way less or way more. Yes or no answer.
Yes,
there's peace in the Middle East. No one's fighting anyone in the Middle East. You really want to go with that? Final answer.
Civil wars, that's it. You have civil wars. Countries are not fighting each other. Countries are not fighting each other in the Middle East.
Final answer after there was just attacks on Israel and Iran just like last month. Final answer, full peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, the countries are not at war with each other in the Middle East right now.
Israel literally just bombing Yemen this within the last week. Total peace in the Middle East. You want to keep on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are on an active ceasefire right now. They are on an active ceasefire currently as we talk.
Idiot.
They're on an active ceasefire currently as we talk. You sound like a hyena when you laugh, bro. Damn.
And you sound like an idiot when you talk. Oh my God. And you sound like an idiot every time you open your fucking mouth.
That's crazy, dude. You're trying to deny the fact that there's more peace in the Middle East because of the Abraham Accords. When you look at the timeline of deaths in the Middle East,
sir, please
look
stop
how much
talking.
further they go down.
Please stop talking. Please stop talking for your own good. Okay? Please stop talking for your own good. This is fucking ridiculous. Okay?
Yeah.
Sir, he said he would create peace in the Middle East, something that is impossible. Okay? At least currently. It is completely impossible, and he did not do that. Okay? Did he
According to you, it's only... Yeah,
sir,
sorry.
did he run on, I'm going to increase diplomatic relations in the Middle East and open up trade? Is that what he said?
No.
What did he say, sir?
Who's going to bring peace to the Middle East?
And is there peace in the Middle East right now? Not more peace. Is there full peace?
I mean, no, not completely.
Okay, so again, there is another thing.
He's on the track of doing it.
I can argue that there's not any more peace also, but that's not even what this argument's about. We could have arguments based showing that literally, again, there is less peace because of the Abraham Accords, and we can have that full argument when we go into freaking multiple different countries, including how this has affected Yemen, how it affected Iran, how it affected Hezbollah. We can talk about all the different things within the Middle East and show how the Abraham Accords were a negative to peace in the Middle East, and how literally moving the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem was detrimental to freaking talks within the Middle East and causing peace. Okay. Gotcha.
But we can,
I guess according to this guy, because since he just wants to yell out random words, says that Israel is now a terrorist organization. Okay, perfect.
No.
Because I was talking about Israel during that statement, but he decided to just yell out a terrorist organization, which I don't agree with, okay? But second of all, it's fucking crazy to say that they caused peace. See, this is why you don't just yell out words in the middle of me speaking.
I know. Okay? I should interrupt you literally because of that. I'm sorry.
All right. So anyways, he didn't create peace in the Middle East. He did not build a wall across the entire southern border from the United States, and Mexico was going to pay for it. He didn't lock Hillary Clinton up. He didn't pass an infrastructure bill. So again, what did he run on that he actually got done in his first term?
No tax on tips and overtime. That's one of them.
That was not something from his first term. I said in his first term.
Oh, lowering the tax bracket, which were made permanent with that BBB.
Lowering of the tax bracket for who?
A bunch of people.
Who?
When he lowered taxes his first term, almost majority of people got put in a lower tax bracket.
Yeah, and that was not permanent in his first term.
I mean, no, it wasn't. But throughout the entirety of his first term, it was there, and it was literally just made permanent in his second term.
Yes.
So, like you said, what did he promise on his first term that he came through with? That's
one thing that he was able to get done in his first term was give a 1% to 2% tax cut to the middle class. Okay.
I think he also did promise on securing the border, and I think he did a good job at making it more secure.
He did not. He actually had some of the worst numbers we had seen until COVID hit.
So what are you saying, that the fact that he did have less numbers for his first term is just because of COVID?
Yeah, his numbers were horrible. That's why he's on camera begging Congress to pass immigration policy, which he wasn't able to do. Right. And then his numbers were horrible where he was having 10,000 plus encounters a day in his first term until COVID hit. And because of COVID, he was able to implement Title 42. So because of that, he had lower numbers. But he himself didn't do anything. He just enacted a law that he was only able to enact because of COVID.
Well, there you go. Regardless of the way you get there, he did it.
No, he said he was going to get border legislation done. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to find some backdoor way to somehow secure the border at the very, very last year of my term because of that's not going to permanently fix it." Like, that's what you're proud of, dude? Like literally, that's what you're bragging about? The fact that he couldn't get a single piece of border legislation done, but because he accidentally fell into something because of an atrocity that he wins? You guys want to talk about fucking TDS? Literally, your guys' ability to fucking just try to make up shit that freaking Donald Trump does in order to try to make him look good is the wildest shit ever. The things you guys glaze him over just for no reason. For no reason. This guy does not care about you. Why are you trying to give him credit for this shit?
Well, none of them care about you,
dude. Like, it's
none of them care about
bro.
You. Well, here's ways he secured the border. He made Executive Order 13767. He implemented a zero tolerance policy in 2018.
Yeah, what was 13767?
That directed the construction of the wall along the U.S.-Mexico border.
Well, we already discussed that one, so you already lost that part. What was the other part?
Okay,
a zero tolerance policy for the law? Cool. Thank you for signing an executive order on something that already existed. Appreciate it.
It's something he implemented to make the border more secure.
How did that make the border more secure?
It resulted in the prosecution of anyone caught crossing the border illegally, including separating parents and children. When the policy was later reversed. Yeah, there you go.
Gotcha.
He arrested more people because of the zero tolerance
He ripped
policy.
parents away from their children. Great.
Also, he
great
implemented
stuff.
a lot of travel bans, which did secure our border more.
Awesome. Yeah. So he ripped parents away from children and did racist policies and xenophobic policies against fucking Muslim countries. Beautifully done, sir.
Okay,
I will give him credit for that one.
Border more.
That's totally fine. I'll totally give him credit for that. That's fine. Donald Trump secured our border by kicking Muslims out and ripping parents from their children. Awesome.
There weren't Muslims that got kicked out. It wasn't the travel bans weren't allowing them in. And it was literally just from their direct countries. They could fly to fucking Canada and still come in. That wouldn't even have been illegal.
So now you're telling me that his policy was ineffective.
I'm telling you, he wrote legislative that secured the border more. You asked.
So you said that his policy was xenophobic.
I can't tell you what criminals are going to do to get behind it.
So you said his policy is xenophobic, but in order to fight the xenophobia, you're just like, well, it was ineffective, so it doesn't matter.
I'm not saying it was ineffective. I'm saying there are loopholes, which there are with every single fucking
You're literally saying it's
piece of legislative that exists. Every single piece of legislative that exists has loopholes.
I don't even have to make my arguments anymore, man. You got me.
I'm not saying it was ineffective. Those words never came out of my mouth. That's what you're trying to pigeonhole to.
I'm not going to pigeonhole anything. You said, dude, they could still come from you said, hey, he did this policy, which was the Muslim ban, right? The blocking of travel from these countries. And you're telling me that is the way he secured the border. And then you were like, oh, but that entire policy that he had to secure the border didn't really matter because they could just fly into Canada and then come over. And so therefore, his policy didn't matter.
The fact that they would have to do it like that would make it even more harder for them to get in. That's how it works. They got to go through multiple different countries to get in.
And
my goodness. It so much harder for you to get in.
Well, you're doing great. Just thought I'd let you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think this is a good thing you do, by the way, even though most of these people are kind of dumb, including me. But I don't know. Let's see what else we're talking. Let's see what else that I support from Donald Trump. I think Joe Biden holding back school lunches from schools that didn't.
Sorry. I don't care about Joe Biden. First of all, let's start there. But we were talking about
Okay,
Donald Trump
sorry.
not making his promises, okay? Because again, Donald Trump wasn't running against Joe Biden. Donald Trump was running against Kamala Harris. So what Joe Biden did is really not affecting to me whatsoever, okay? But the whole point of the conversation, which is why I got tired of you trying to pigeonhole it the entire time, is that Donald Trump didn't freaking do the things that he said he was going to do the first time, okay? And so even if you're talking about like, oh, like I want to believe the things that he was talking about prior, you had no proof in order to believe that he was actually going to do them. The unfortunate thing in this situation, right? And where Donald Trump is already breaking a lot of his promises, and that's fine. He said he was going to lower grocery prices. He's already said that he's not going to be able to do that. And freaking, we're already seeing cost of living continue to go up regardless of the things that Donald Trump is doing. He said things like no tax on Social Security, which doesn't exist, even though he's bragging and lying about it right now, right? And he said lots of things. The things that he's actually doing, like that he's actually keeping his promises on, are literally like the worst fucking things, man. Do you realize that like his big beautiful bill, like that he's passing right now, is literally making ICE agent, like the agency of ICE, the largest law enforcement agency on the planet. It will be larger, like as far as funding, than the Israeli military. Okay, and the entire
I'm sure a lot of things are. We have a GDP of like $6 trillion, but I'm not necessarily 100% against that. I mean, I'm pretty sure the caller earlier, and you even said it yourself. Don't we have 11.6 million illegal immigrants here right now?
Sir, we have 11. Yes, we have 11.6 approximately freaking immigrants. Okay, here,
like
right?
Tennis, yeah, we'll say
right.
that. Tennis,
but why would we have a law enforcement like office? Okay, the largest law enforcement office in the land, going after a group of people who primarily do not commit any violent crime. Like currently, right now, with what? No,
I mean, there's a reason.
Sir,
yeah, go ahead. I'll explain.
But why? We could have the largest law enforcement office going after people that commit violent crime, but instead, we're taking that money that could go to people chasing violent crime and sending them to people that aren't doing violent crimes. How is that helpful for America?
Because for multiple reasons, we shouldn't have open borders, and for multiple reasons, we shouldn't have, because of people who get in the country, they should not be here if they got here illegally.
Sure,
regardless of if they're just earning money and like making a living. I get it.
That wasn't the argument. That wasn't the question. First of all, Customs and Border Protection does the border. ICE finds people that are already in here. So when you're talking about open borders, Customs and Border Protection, not ICE, would be the people that you're talking about. Okay, so we're not talking about
people who made it past the border. Like they committed a crime.
Second of all, sir, that is not what I'm asking you. Okay, we're not having an argument of whether people that are supposed to be here illegally are supposed to be here. That wasn't the argument. The argument was, why should we put a bunch of money towards getting people out of this country that are committing no violent acts, instead of putting that money towards law enforcement officers who are actually going after violent criminals in this country?
Okay, well, you're acting like those people are getting no money now. That's not the case. They are still getting an absolute fuck ton of money. Sorry if I can't cuss.
The FBI, less funded than ICE. Okay.
Yeah, less. That's okay, but how much are they funded? That's okay that they're less funded than ICE.
That is not okay. That is not okay at all.
Why not? We have 11.6 million people here illegally. That is a lot of people that we need to get out.
Sir, the FBI chases down international or freaking inter-United States criminals. People who do violent crimes, who commit murders, who rob banks, who do all sorts of freaking horrific things against the American society. And they're less funded than chasing down people who work on farms.
Yeah, because they hunt 100 people compared to 11.6 million. There's not 11.6 million people committing terrorist attacks that the FBI needs to hunt.
This is the crazy logic, right?
How is that crazy?
This is the crazy logic. The literally illegal entry in the United States is a Class E misdemeanor, right? Which means it's at the same level as jaywalking, all right?
Okay.
And you are saying, right, that we need to spend more money in this United States chasing down 11.6 million jaywalkers over the freaking thousands of people that are freaking, that are violent criminals that the FBI chases down.
Okay, in a lot of other countries, the crime for coming in illegally is a lot more.
We're not other countries. A lot of other countries freaking won't let you leave. Countries won't let you leave. Or countries freaking cut your hands off for fucking stealing. We're not other countries.
you say that like it's a big deal. It's not. Like, we only do that to have something to charge people with. Of course, we're going to do it with something that's extremely small because we're not inhumane like that. But the FBI doesn't get as much money at ICE because they're already doing an efficient job at like what they always have been doing, and it's catching all these fucking people. It's not like they're not even receiving any less money than they have been.
Sir, I'm sorry.
Like,
I'm sorry.
How much money do you think the FBI gets?
I'm very sorry. Okay, maybe that's just me. Okay, I thought, and you know, I thought the Republican Party was the party of fiscal conservatism, and maybe that's where I'm wrong. Okay, I thought that we should be having our money going to things like roads, things like bridges, like things that are actually helping. Like, how about this? Like, how about making sure people have health care, right? Because people that go to the hospital are a burden on our society. So, you know, we should be putting money towards health care or towards veterans or towards homeless people in the United States. But instead, we're using that money to have masked law enforcement officers in plain clothes who aren't wearing badges and won't identify themselves chase down non-violent criminals in the United States. That's crazy to me.
I got to correct you real quick. You said instead. We're not doing it instead. All of these organizations are still getting money. California is still going to spend $50 billion a year to not solve the fucking homeless issue.
Medicaid is getting a cut of $880 billion. No, all of these agencies are not getting funded.
Medicaid is still going to exist, and even with all this stuff that's Medicaid's happening, a lot of people in my family are still even on Medicaid.
Yeah, and about 17 million people are going to lose Medicaid.
Just because it's cut from Medicaid doesn't mean that it means the result of that is people losing it.
The result of that is people losing it.
That's not the direct result of it. Show me one where that's the case.
One where what?
The direct result of them losing funding is going to be not paying fucking $30 for insulin. You're only going to be paying $5 now.
What?
The result of Medicaid getting less funding means they're going to be getting things a hell of a lot cheaper.
I'm sorry. 17 million people are going to lose Medicaid coverage over the next 10 years. There's not going to be people paying $35 for insulin instead of $30. They're not going to have the service. They're not even going to have Medicaid in order to be paying a copay. By the way, the big, beautiful bill actually does increase copays when it comes to hospital stays for people on Medicaid. That's part of the funding cuts. Okay, so literally 17 million people are going to lose Medicaid funding so that we can chase down nonviolent criminals.
No, that's
not asking your opinion. I was telling you what was happening, and then I was asking for your opinion on what is happening. We're not having an argument over facts. Fact is that's happening. Why are you okay with that?
Dude, we literally raised our fiscal debt, how much we can spend, by $4 trillion.
Yeah.
That means we have $4 trillion to spend on other organizations and other shit. You're saying literally, this is what you're saying right now. You're saying
we have to pay that back, right?
ICE got more funding.
You know we have to pay that back, right?
That's not the case, and that's not how money in our government works.
You must have like a 300 credit score if you're just like, well, we just borrowed $4 trillion, so now we just get to spend it on whatever we want.
No, but the $4 trillion we got is literally what we're going to be spending on. That's what our government spends money on.
Sir, I don't want our government to take out another credit card.
It's going to be stuff like
to chase down nonviolent criminals.
Hey, do you know how much Medicaid costs a year?
Like
you need that money for Medicaid. Yeah, you need that money for Medicaid. You need to raise it. Like, it's very expensive to have public health care, and you need to fucking keep getting money to do that.
Sir, again, even if we're talking about migrants, literally spending money to chase down migrants is literally like shooting yourself in the foot. Because literally migrants in 2024, I believe it was 2023 or 2024, put in $100 billion worth of revenue into to local, state, and federal government taxes. So literally we are spending more money to get rid of a revenue source.
I mean, just because we get rid of those people doesn't mean that $100 billion is going to cease to exist. There's going to be other people to work those jobs. It's just not going to be illegal immigrants. That most of that shit, that $100 billion that they're earning, is probably going back to Mexico or Guatemala or whatever.
Sir.
Yeah.
$100 billion in tax revenue, not in individual revenue that was taxed. The government got $100 billion. That's how much. Okay. So if those people aren't here, then how are we collecting taxes from people that aren't here?
It's not the people you're collecting the taxes from. It's the job you're collecting the taxes from that those people are working from.
No, sir. It's the jobs. It's the sales tax. It's all of it, all combined between state, local, federal tax. It's all tax revenue. 100. Dude. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
I thought you were just referring from the jobs. Okay,
that made my head
sorry.
hurt.
I'll take the L from the sales tax. What is that? Probably 20% of that $100 billion. Let's say that. I'll take the L from the sales tax to get rid of.
We're literally spending money to get rid of tax revenue because people don't like non-violent criminals because they're brown. I'm assuming like this is craziness.
Because they committed a crime. I don't care what color you are.
Yes, you're not advocating for extra money to go chase down jaywalkers, are you?
No, I don't care about jaywalkers.
There's the same level of crime, but they committed a crime.
Okay, the government's not going to charge you more than anything for a misdemeanor because it'd be fucked up, but they are going to send you back. It's not like we're whenever we catch an illegal immigrant, it's not like we send them to court for a misdemeanor and let them walk free.
Sir. They committed a crime. You should be furious because that's your argument, is that they committed a crime. So therefore, we need to chase them down with masked, freaking plainclothes officers who won't identify themselves like the fucking Gestapo.
I mean, that's been happening not in just Trump's administration. That's happened in every administration. That's just an American thing. That's not a Trump-specific thing.
Oh, okay. Well, since it's not a Trump-specific thing, then we should just keep it. That's smart.
No, but it's not why I support Trump. So I don't even know why you would bring mass clothes Gestapos up, and I don't even know if you would bring up the families in cages. But yeah, that wasn't even a Trump thing either. But yeah, I think 11.6 million people got to get out, dude. If you get in this country illegally, if that's not even a crazy thing to say, look at any other Western country, not even Western, look at any country in the world. If you come there illegally, they're going to spend money to get you out.
We already do spend money to get them out. We just don't have to spend a ridiculous amount of money to get them out.
When you have 11.6
we can be logical.
million, you do. The U.S. has the most amount of illegal immigrants in any country, probably more than every country combined.
And
that's a lot of people.
I mean, if you want to be technical, we have about.
Like you said, you do.
If you want to be technical, we have about
out.
If you want to be technical, we have about 340 million illegal immigrants.
Okay, no one's illegal on stolen land, so you can't say that.
You know that's
am I
not
right
the same,
or am I wrong?
Right?
No one's illegal on stolen land, bro. What do you mean?
Yeah, do you know what that means?
Yeah, that means you shouldn't arrest people for coming here illegally because we stole this land anyway.
No, sir, all it is a level of humanity and decency that just doesn't make any sense. That's really truly all it is, and that's where
I'm all for.
That's where you guys. That's where you guys just lack humanity and empathy, and that's really the big issue. Okay. Like truly,
I'm sorry that then every country in the world lacks it too, because every country in the world sends people back when they get there illegally.
I have no problem with sending people back. I have a problem with masked armed officers taking down mothers of children in front of their children or ripping them out of immigration courts when they're trying to do the right thing. When I am,
what are you supposed to do in that scenario?
I am literally.
What do you want to happen?
Dude, Donald Trump literally just had the Supreme Court approve people that are here legally that he can get rid of them. Okay, literally asylum seekers from Honduras and Nicaragua.
And
literal
Haiti,
people
that are the temporary protection status that they had that they no longer have.
That means they were here legally.
Yeah, it's temporary. You can't be temporary,
sir.
Permanently.
They were here legally.
You can't have temporary status permanently.
It doesn't.
You're saying they're here legally. It was temporary. It was a temporary
protection
status.
Permanently, sir. They were still under their temporary, and Donald Trump is removing their status in order to kick them out. People that are here legally, people that are here that are vetted, people that are here that are contributing to our
protection status. You were referring to the Supreme Court. That's what I'm going to refer to as well.
Sir,
when you get a temporary protection status, temporary means that it's not permanent. You're going to have to leave one day, and that's been
no. That does not mean that is not what that means.
The only
It does
reason
not mean that you're going to have to leave one day. No, that does not mean that's what.
Because of the earthquake in Haiti that happened.
That is not what that
20
means
years
someday.
ago.
That is a temporary status until we can get you here legally, not until we kick you out. That is a temporary legal status until we. That's exactly what it's here for. That is supposed to be the first step of many steps in which you can be in this country legally.
You're right. You are here legally with a temporary protection status. But that does not mean you are.
Think about it like a driver's permit. Okay, that's the
not
best,
how it works.
That's exactly
What's
how it fucking works.
Again, the definition of temporary protection status?
Sir. What it says temporary driver's permit on the license. It's an exact example, sir. It is literally like a driver's permit. It says, hey, you this is for you to be here. You can stay here. You can practice your bid as long as you don't fuck anything up and we can work on your legal status. Then we can keep going to get you a legal status in the United States. That's literally what it's for. That's literally what it means. It's like a driver's fucking permit, okay? But I hear all of this shit. No. I don't want you to read me shit. I want you to listen for a change. Okay.
I'll listen.
You were literally here complaining about all these people who were here illegally. And as soon as I switched it to people that are here legally, you immediately switched from not caring whether people are here illegally or here legally. It's what the word temporary means. Okay? Because you don't give a shit whether someone is here legally or illegally. You don't give a shit whether somebody is trying to be here legally. You don't give a shit whether they do crimes or don't do crimes. All you care about is getting brown people out of the fucking country.
I don't care what color you are. You can be
No,
Dutch,
you do.
Can be
I'm
European,
not asking your fucking
Australian.
opinion, dude. I'm not asking your opinion. Literally, the fact that the literal fact that you are that you literally switched from I only don't want them here because they're illegal to well they're here legally but it's on a temporary status shows that you don't give a shit about whether someone's actually here illegally or not. You only care about getting brown immigrants out of this fucking country. That's all you give a shit about.
I know my definitions because right here on let me see the website uscis.gov it's temporary. TPS is not a private pathway to permanent or legal citizenship in the United States.
Mm-hmm. That does not change what I just said, which is why I asked you to listen.
It does.
But you refuse
they are here legally, but they're temporary protection status means you have to go eventually.
You're arguing the old argument. Okay. Which is why I told you to stop trying to read and to listen.
Okay.
If you had listened to the argument that I was making, you could have responded to the argument that I was making. Okay.
Yeah, I am.
But you chose not to. You chose no. That wasn't it, sweetheart. That wasn't it. Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
But that's okay. Because this conversation, and since you don't want to listen and have a conversation, I'll just move on to somebody else. But I hope you have,
Mr. Garrison.
Okay. Yeah,
you are
buddy,
rude. Everyone who says you're rude is right.
You should try crying about it. That might help.
I'm not going to.
Shut up. Anyways. You should try crying about it. Oh my goodness. Ridiculous. Mary, thank you so much for the 2 jewels. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Carolina, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate it. Said I already gave, but damn, this conversation is grieving me. I wish I could give 10 times more. Thank you so much for the super chat. You really appreciate that, Carolina. You're very, very sweet. Thank you so much. Oh, and the second super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I think we have time for at least one more caller. And we'll keep this thing going. So yeah, if you guys would like to support the live, I do have super chats open. I really appreciate that. Also, I do have my pay links in the bio, and I'm still somehow only at 2 little bears on TikTok. I don't know. I guess y'all hate me because I've only gotten like 2 bears the whole time. But I really appreciate you guys who like to support. Also, I'm going to pull up on the screen while I talk to the next guest how that last guest was wrong on the conversation that he tried to go back to. But anyways, here we go. And we'll open back up the phone lines. Really appreciate you. Hello, how are you?
Doing good.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Of course.
Awesome. Massive Mom, thank you so much for the subscription. We are on a subway. If you guys would like to help me hit the 8 subs, I really appreciate that. All right, why do you support Trump?
I support Trump because he's bringing order to government assistance programs, and he's getting rid of the illegals.
He's bringing what to government assisted programs?
Order, structure.
How is he bringing order and structure to anything?
because he's strengthening the requirements. He's getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. And
I'm sorry. He's getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, and doing what?
he's basically bringing structure to these programs. You add more requirements as far as, like you brought up during I think it was during the first.
What requirements is he adding?
You literally just talked about the requirements. He's making it harder for people to join, right?
He's making it harder for people to get Medicaid. Yeah, but that's not getting out any abuse.
How's that not getting out abuse if he's adding more requirements as far as identification, proving things to maybe disqualify a person that's trying to cheat the system?
Sir, that doesn't disqualify people that are trying to cheat the system. It disqualifies people that... Here, I'll give you an example. Do you know Arkansas already tried to do this? By the way, I already pulled up that USCIS article. That guy was completely a liar. TPS is a temporary benefit that does not automatically lead to permanent residency or give any other immigration status. However, registration for TPS does not prevent you from applying for non-immigrant status, filing for an adjustment status based off an immigration petition, and applying for any other immigration benefit or protection in which you might be eligible. Literally, freaking right there. That dude lied so hard he was trying to freaking get a win, but literally right here it actually says that freaking if you're on a temporary legal status, you can apply for citizenship, and it is a pathway towards that. That dude was a fucking full liar. Holy shit! I'm glad I freaking dropped him. No wonder he was crying at the end. Anyways, so what restrictions is he putting in? Sorry, I forgot that you were talking.
You literally said during the first, I don't think it was the first caller, you literally said that they're making it harder for people to join these assisted programs because they have to do more things to qualify for it, right?
They have to do more paperwork. They don't have to do any more things.
What is more paperwork? Is it a thing?
Why is that a good thing? Why do you want people that need that apply for that need the services and fit the requirements for the services not to be able to get it because of paperwork?
Because paperwork matters. You can't just join a program that's taking away taxpayer dollars, and if you don't need it, because obviously Trump has basically made it a thing to put more requirements or more quote unquote more paperwork into this program because it was abuse. The programs were abused.
How much proof of abuse is within Medicaid right now?
Do you not? Look up
how much proof of abuse was there in the system?
How much proof? How much do we get back from those?
Sir, I didn't ask you to ask me another question. That is not what I asked you. How much abuse is in the system? That's all I'm asking you.
It's plenty of abuse in the system. It depends on what we're talking about.
What percentage?
What, just Medicaid?
Yes, that's all we're talking about is Medicaid.
All right, so we will find out by the people that don't qualify anymore. How about that?
That's not even close to a valid answer. We know the answer right now.
That is okay. So look, I'll give you a little background on myself.
I do not want it. I just want the percentage.
You can't understand that by you can't say you understand something by not having at least like
you know how I could how you could prove to me you understand something?
What?
By giving me the percentage.
I don't need to give you a percentage by saying, all right, so I need to give you a percentage of crime to say that there's crime?
Yeah. That's literally what a crime rate is. It's a percentage that shows me that there's crime and how much of it there is. That's literally what a crime rate is.
So every person, all right, so let me ask you this question. So every person on Medicaid is not a scammer. They're not scamming the system. So every person on Medicaid is not a scammer.
That is not what I said.
Okay, so at least, all right, let me give you this. Let me give you this number. At least 1%. At least 1%. Somebody's scamming the system. As long as they're human on Medicaid, they're like you think every person on Medicaid deserves to be on Medicaid, right?
No.
So okay, so that's why there's a system to say, hey, let's check. At least let's make cuts because there's people that don't deserve to be on this program that's taking advantage.
Yeah, sir, we already have a system in that. There's already a check and balance to catch those people that are misusing the system and then to stop them from getting any type of Medicaid benefits that already exists.
So in California, like you said yourself, there's illegal immigrants that we pay for that we didn't vote for that. Nobody voted for that because you told the people that
I'm sorry, where do you live, sir?
We're debating in California. You told the people.
Then you did vote
told
for
the
it.
people. I did not vote for that.
Yes, you
so
did.
you told the people.
How old are you?
I didn't. So I'm 30. I didn't.
Oh,
so these
well then
people,
you didn't vote.
What?
You either
So,
voted for
whatever.
it or you
So-
just chose not to vote. Either way, that's
Dude, so what I'm telling you is that we didn't vote for that. The constituents of California does not agree with supporting illegal immigrants with our tax dollars. That's not a thing we voted for.
you
We
guys
didn't
literally
that was
vote in
not-
people that literally make those laws, and you could vote all of them out if you wanted to.
You can't, dude. So we gon' my thing is this, dude. At the end of the day, you could vote anyone you want in. Doesn't mean that they're gonna follow your agenda point by point.
Then
They
you
do
vote
what they
them
want.
out and
They're-
vote someone
they're-
else in.
Doesn't matter. They can lock. You have never heard of a lying politician?
Yeah.
You never heard of that?
Yeah,
You
of
never-
course I have.
So how many you gonna vote out? 'Cause
All right,
of them
sir.
lie, so how many you gonna vote out?
Who's your state legislator for your district?
I don't give a crap who it is.
Well, those are the people that represent your district that would have made that rule. So literally, when you're saying you didn't vote, we didn't vote for that. No, you just didn't vote. You don't even know who your representative is that would have voted for this.
It doesn't matter who our representative is. It doesn't represent the people. We don't vote for maps. We don't vote for transgender studies. They just bring it in. Do you think we voted for that?
Sir, again, you didn't vote for anything.
Nobody.
Because
Nobody voted for that.
No, not nobody. Tons of people voted. You, as an individual, chose not to vote, and now you're complaining about the system that is implemented by the people that you could have voted for, that you chose not to.
Some of these problems you can't vote out because you didn't vote it in.
Sir,
Most
you can't
people
vote them
hide
out.
their
You're right. You didn't vote them in because you didn't vote anyone in because you didn't vote.
Dude, that's not the point. What I'm telling you is that.
Very, very much the point.
Oh, God. No, it's not. Listen, I voted for Trump.
It is obliviously the point.
No, it's not. I voted for Trump, and Trump don't do everything I voted for him to do. He doesn't do every single thing.
But at least you voted.
So is that my fault?
At least you voted.
That in? No.
At least you voted.
That's not that's not the point. What I'm telling you is this.
It's still the point.
Just because I voted for a certain politician,
which you didn't do,
mean they're gonna do. Does not mean.
But you
that
didn't vote for a certain politician. You didn't vote.
Dude. You look, even on the lefty end, okay, even on your side, right? Did Joe Biden do everything you told him that you wanted him to do?
No, but I voted. You
didn't
vote for
it. You voted for it, right?
I did, but you didn't vote.
But did you? Does it matter? Okay, so even if I did vote,
sir, this is not a matter of the politician that you voted for not doing everything that you wanted. You didn't vote.
That's not the point I'm making.
Are you okay,
what
sir?
I'm saying is that you can't. I'm laughing just like you laughing. You laughed before.
I'm not laughing. I'm actually quite disturbed at how not very bright you are.
What? Okay, whatever. So basically what I'm saying is that even though I could vote a person in and they say what their agenda is, does not mean they follow their own agenda. Sometimes they got self-preservation. They have donors that they listen to,
Okay,
and they
sir.
do exactly
Well,
what
I'm
you
going to
did.
go ahead and move on to the next caller because you just
Okay,
keep
thank
repeating
you.
the same thing over and over, and this is a waste of time.
We're talking about a certain subject, dude.
Yeah, we're talking about the fact that you're saying that representatives that you didn't vote for made decisions that you don't like.
That's not the point.
Yes, it
All right,
is.
whatever, dude. It doesn't matter if I voted for him or not. That's the point. So basically, let's talk about legals then.
No, I'm good.
Talk about legals. Okay, good. Get up out of here, man.
Okay. All right. Shay, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs on TikTok. I really appreciate that. And Def Jam, thank you so much for the 11-month subscription on TikTok. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, I got time for like a few more minutes. I don't have much. We'll see who calls in. Did I get any super chats on that one? I don't think I did. Did I miss any? I didn't miss any super chats. Okay, cool. Hello?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hi, how old are you?
43.
Awesome. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome. Why is that?
I go back to like 2016, where the CIA and the Clinton Nation, they made a complete.
I'm sorry, sir. You're going to have to get better phone service.
Oh, you can hear me?
Hello?
Yo, can you hear me? Can you not hear me, dude?
Now you're a little better.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, so did you hear anything I said or no?
Nope.
Well, I'd have to go back to like 2016 where they made up the fake story about him colluding with Russia through the CIA. And so basically, if the CIA doesn't want that president, that's probably the president that I want. Would you prefer the president that the CIA is actively trying to keep in power, or? Anything, or when they lied about the Hunter Biden laptop?
Am I really supposed to address any of this shit that you're saying?
Well, so was the Hunter Biden laptop Russian disinformation?
No, he had a laptop. So do I.
Okay, great point. So are you okay with like the CIA lying about that and censoring that from the American people?
Yeah. So I'm sorry I forgot my tinfoil hat. My bad.
So Trump did collude with Russia in 2016, and the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation?
The Hunter
Is that what
Biden
you're
laptop
saying?
didn't even have any fucking anything on it besides some proof of a weapons charge, which is what he was charged with.
Right, but you don't care that it was censored from the American people.
Could not care less if Hunter Biden and his laptop never existed. Really could not. If they both disappeared off the face of the planet right now, it would change nothing in my life. Like truly, my life would be so much better if I never heard the words Hunter Biden laptop ever. I wish they would have hid more of it. That way I never had to hear any of you troglodytes talk about the Hunter Biden laptop again.
Okay, well, we'll move on from the laptop. Okay, don't talk about laptop. Let's talk about state censorship. The fact that they censored that. I don't care about the laptop. Move on about that. But you just said that you would want them to do that more. So you support state censorship. Like, fuck the freedom of speech, fuck the First Amendment.
Donald Trump literally was called by a court for violating the First Amendment by a federal court judge. So I don't know what you're really talking about there. Second of all, anything that came off of something from the CIA would be classified. That's not, sir, I'm talking now. You spent already way too much time talking. What I said was something that happened by the CIA. That's not censorship. That would be something being classified. Okay. And yes, I do believe that there are certain things that should be classified for our national security. Okay. So yeah, that's not censorship. That's just classifying stuff, and that's totally cool. Third of all, the Hunter Biden laptop thing is ridiculous. Fourth of all, the entire Russian collusion thing was an entire dossier, which you can read and show that there was plenty of evidence that people within the Trump campaign colluded with Russian intelligence, but I'm still talking. Yeah, colluded with Russian intelligence, but there was no proof that Donald Trump specifically was informed of it or knew that it was happening. Okay. And none of that is in any way falls against the First Amendment or falls against any freedom of speech or falls against any type of, whatever that you're talking about. So, yeah.
Okay. Did you watch the Durham report by any chance?
No. I have better things to worry about.
So, like, the CIA colluding to make up a fake story that the media sold is not important to you?
Not really, no.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's 17 million people about to lose healthcare. Our economy is getting ready to fucking tank because of due to tariffs and Donald Trump's horrible economic policies. Literally, we are bombing Iran, okay, and their nuclear facilities, which will probably result in some type of retribution. You making up some fucking bullshit about some fucking CIA cover-up, media thing, whatever, is literally the least important thing on my mind at the moment. So... since you're so like, you know, whatever, about this, where's the Epstein files? Where's the Epstein list? I'm waiting for that.
Oh, yeah, we're on the same page with that for sure.
Okay.
So, were you upset that, you know, Biden
No.
for the 4 years didn't release anything? No, you're fine with that?
Well, you could just stop it. Am I upset? I'm not upset about anything.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually
so
ridiculously relaxed right now. I'm getting ready to go have dinner.
So when under Biden, when we started bombing Somalia about 2 months into his presidency, with the excuse of so that American interests could move freely in the country, like, were you against that or were you for that?
We literally just started bombing Somalia again like 4 months ago.
Right. I mean, I was talking about when Biden got into office.
Oh, I don't know. I barely remember what you're talking about, dude. Yeah. Sorry, none of this is just like
Okay, well, so you're totally fine with that. Okay.
Yeah, none of this is like none of this matters to me, and I don't care about it. So, yeah. So have a good day, all right?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't I got other things to worry about than conspiracy theories. But I hope he has a really good time with them. Yeah, I hope he really has a good time with them. And that sounds great. All right, I'll be on a little late tomorrow night. I'll be on around 7:30 tomorrow night, Central Time. Make sure you guys join the Discord if you want to stay up to date with when I'll be getting on and all that fun stuff. And we have cool little chats in there. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys. Have a good evening, all right?